So,
we back at it like crack addicts.
the Lakers finally lost after 3 straight NBA championships last year to the Spurs, right?
It's a dominance, yes.
And it was kind of like a train wreck season. It was kind of like a season where many roller coaster up and down moments, lots of notes for yours truly to write down. And I thought to myself, the next season can't be worse than this season, right? That was my first thought.
Knowing what you knew, though?
Yeah, even knowing what I knew, I was like, it can't be. Because in my head, I'm just like maybe it's just the events that I know about going into it. Maybe it's the events I exclusively know about going into it, and there's not much more.
I feel like 03 is usually like the season that's ignored about, like with the Shaq, between like this whole saga.
That's fair, because especially this one being the last one that leads to the inevitable change.
And then like there was bickering, but it was still not that much bickering. Like it was not like as bad as it was, I think, in the past.
Shaq was getting irritating, especially if you ask me.
Oh,
Shaq was getting fucking. Shaq was getting incredibly irritating, especially by like February of last season on, where he's just talking about rehabbing on company time and all that bullshit.
But it's also like you got to remember, like I feel like not context, but like the damn, because they say you should read email. Oh, the tone that you're reading it in
there you go.
is in a like. You're looking at Shaq as an asshole while you're reading it. So you're thinking of him saying it as a huge asshole. But there's a lot of times that you'll see Shaq in certain interviews, like when he was like playing and he was very charismatic and stuff like that. Like that. So that tone might be like out of like those quotes. You know what I mean? Like you're not taking it the way he's like, he might be like saying it in a joking way, but he's obviously still serious.
Just seems unlikely though, based on what we know about Shaq. Is that he's definitely not joking, and he's definitely being. But besides the point, I think the one thing I've learned after getting ready for this final LA season is, in the book of basketball that Bill Simmons wrote, he met with Isaiah Thomas, who he had written horrible things about, and whatever. Read his book for the meeting, but basically the essential purpose. Or the essential thing that Bill Simmons learned from Isaiah Thomas during that meeting was the secret of basketball has nothing to do with the game of basketball. It has everything to do with all the surrounding pieces and things like chemistry, things like off the court issues, things like being able to coexist within your team to create a masterpiece on the court. And I think this is a quality example of why everything off the court makes a big difference as we go into like this insane fucking off season.
It's just those, and then I think it gets lost because in those first 3 years there was all of this drama, but they were winning. Sure. So like a lot of people like tend to look at it as, well, Shaq and Kobe were able to do it, but it's like they were like some of the greatest players ever, and it was like the way it was put together kind of worked, especially like with timing and everything. Like I don't think that obviously like those same talented Lakers, if they were put in this like amount of drama that they currently are doing, like having this season, they're probably not winning the championship either.
Maybe. I mean, honestly,
same drama though. Like
we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it going into the regular season, ultimately the playoffs. But it's astounding they made it as far as they did, considering all of this. Like through this particular season, like most teams that have this, especially in the last 20 years, this is kind of the first one of these. It's the second. So this is kind of something I wanted to get into, right? Like. People talk about this being the very first modern super team, but it's really the second modern super team. Because the first modern super team was with Akeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and Scottie Pippen. And I consider that the first modern super team, right? Okay. Where they like really tried at an older age to put everything together and chase some rings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the second major built from free agency super team. And it happens because mainly nobody has any money. The league has changed so drastically in the last 20 years. And it's why, as we go back a little earlier in the legacy breakdown, I can't consider this era of time the modern NBA at this stage of the game where we're at in 2022. Because no team to have no team in the league have enough money for free agents, that would not happen today. There would definitely be teams that don't have money, but not no teams having money. That doesn't make sense. Like, the only 3 teams, according to the New York Times, Chris Broussard, only 3 teams, San Antonio, Denver, and Utah, will be under the salary cap enough to offer contracts significantly above the mid-level $4.9 million. So it's a drought for free agents this year.
Yeah.
And we look at Gary Payton, who, what was he coming off? So he got traded from Seattle to Milwaukee this year, but in total, he's 20 points a game, 8 assists, 1.7 steals, shooting 45%. Basically what he hasn't really like fallen off yet. He's at an advanced age, but he's not anywhere. There's not a drastic drop off from his quote unquote prime. Like, I think he absolutely still considers himself in his prime at this point.
He's probably at the tail. Like, I think they look at it as their twilight years, like the end of their prime. But definitely,
But he's not at the same stage as Karl Malone, who's going to be 40 this year. But also coming off 20 points a game, same thing, right? Yeah, in 02-03. At age 39, giving you 20.6 points per game.
But like, if this isn't like ring hopping, like ring chasing, like, because he, like, I could see Gary Payton at that point, like, he didn't want to be. He probably he got traded to Milwaukee. You don't want to be traded, but you also obviously want a championship. Yeah. So you're like, I'll go with the Lakers, and then obviously they have relationship with Shaq and stuff. But Karl Malone is just straight up like, I've been with you guys for 19 years. I see we're not going to win a championship. I'm trying to win a chip. Sorry. Peace out.
The closest, I don't think we'll see something like this happen for a very long time. Where with this specific level of involvement for one franchise, the closest in our era is Russell Westbrook, and it's not that close. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Damian Lillard will reach this point.
No, well, Steph's another one that could.
Yeah, but Steph's won chips. Like, I'm talking.
Oh yeah, true.
No chips. One team.
Yeah, I was thinking about longevity in the team.
I think it's. Right. I think Damian Lillard might be but Damian Lillard continuously says he's not leaving Portland. Yeah. Whatever. Continue to not be a champion. It's fine. But Phil Jackson at New York Times wrote, Phil Jackson wants to add a power forward and a quick point guard who can stay in front of players like Mike Bibby, Troy Hudson, the Laker killer, stupid, and Tony Parker, all of whom burned the slow-footed Derek Fisher in the recent postseasons.
I remember that
Gary fits that like a glove, no pun intended.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I remember that being a huge issue with the 09 Lakers too, because like Derek Fisher, he was just so slow. I never understood why he was there. I now I could understand how he'd be that like glue guy, like keep everybody together, something like that. Like he's obviously one of the captains of the team, but I feel like Derek Fisher sucked so bad. He hit clutch threes though, so
that's what. So the big thing for him, great chemistry guy, shockingly clutch for his role, right?
Yep.
And they had a few guys like that, you know, like you said, keeps the team, can be an on-the-court coach.
Yeah.
And get the triangle run.
Yeah, he was definitely like a defensive liability, though.
And he's going to take a bench role here to Gary Payton, who signs for $4.9 million, that mid-level. That's
I thought it was 5.9. Oh, you might be right on.
It's kind of crazy how it all comes together, though, because Shaq is calling Gary Payton and Karl Malone throughout the offseason
Yep.
And being like, yo, you guys got to come, like take less money, whatever. You guys have made your money. It's time to get some rings, add to your legacy. It's about legacy, that type of shit.
Imagine Shaq calling you and being like, and telling you all that. Then you go in and you just like, yo, all this fucking drama, like I gotta deal with it. Like, it's like, it's not gonna be an easy championship to win. Like,
yeah, but maybe Shaq's like, hey man, me and Kobe got beef, but like you guys come in, I think it'll be squashed. It'll be lowered down. Like we were about winning rings. We might have beef, but we're about the task. Yeah. I know Shaq's saying some shit like that, 100%.
Or he's probably just saying, "Don't worry about Kobe. We got we'll figure it out."
We can be a team. Fuck Kobe. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, especially this Shaq.
Yeah, he's definitely raping people in Colorado right now. Like we don't need any of that.
Fuck you, man.
Don't fuck me. Fuck Shaq. That's what he said, not me. Anyways, Gary Payton, the 7-time All-Star, won 2 Olympic gold medals, passed up the chance to go to the highest bidder, and instead opted for lesser pay from the Lakers. Payton, who will turn 35 later this month, will team with O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and either Karl Malone or the next power forward in line. So, because Gary Payton signed 1 day earlier than Karl Malone. But it's crazy because Karl Malone made $19.2 million the year before he joined the Lakers, and he's joining the Lakers for $1.5 million. That is insane. Even though he's 40. Even though he's 40 years old.
He was 100, like he was, and I like, at least they weren't like hiding it. You know what I mean? They were like, I'm trying to get a ring. Like that's what.
The agent came out almost immediately and was like, "Look, dude, we're doing this for championships. Karl wants a ring before he retires, and the man's 40. Like it's not like he's in his prime at all.
Yeah, and
he may be coming off 20 points a game, but like the man's 40 years old. How much can he possibly do?
Yeah, playing in the NBA for 20 years and not winning a championship, like that's like I can understand.
It's like, karma, is what it is.
Being a fucking loser, like being a loser like
karma.
that and not winning a championship ever. Like
when you're a piece of shit human being,
keep that forever, Karl Malone. I hope it's hard for you to sleep.
Yeah,
think about it all the time.
When you're a not ideal human being, sometimes you don't get these things in return. Karma's a son of a bitch. But Shaq says, I think last season we were obviously missing hungry players. Going back to the turmoil that we discussed in the last episode, that Kobe and Shaq were beefing with the others on the team. And now we just signed 2 starving players. Crazy.
Like, so this is my thing. Like, have we ever, like, I know a lot of people like to point out LeBron for like media stuff, but like, has any player ever like shitted on their teammates as bad as Shaq's been doing in the last 2 years? Like, because even with LeBron,
Shaq and Kobe have both been doing it in the media. Like, it was attacked. Ironically, they're both not happy with each other, but they're really not happy with the others. It's really weird. It's really weird dynamic.
But and my main thing is, like, the worst thing I think LeBron has ever said was the top heaviest shit. Like that comment when he back in, what was it, 2017? I think so. Yeah, he said the top. That was it. Like, that was the worst he said. I don't remember him saying, "Yeah, we need to get rid of these guys." Like, openly saying this shit. Like,
last year. So Shaq goes on. Last year, I had a couple grenades. O'Neal said in a telephone interview. Now I got atomic weapons. I'm going nuclear. I'm Colin Powell, and I can drop the bomb anytime I want to. Going political on them bitches.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're just beginning the Iraq War, so super politically correct, Shaq. So fucked up. Fucking.
I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah.
So, let's see. Okay, so O'Neal talking about how he got these guys to come to the Lakers. Basically, I said we needed each other. I wasn't on the phone that long, but I gave them my message and told them how much I wanted them to come. I commend those guys for taking less money. That's an important thing to note for about a month from now. Because, well, I'll get to it in a minute. But this is kind of one of the biggest non-Shaq related moments of the season. Kobe is going to get sexual assault allegations brought up to him in Colorado. Sexually
on my freaking birthday, I turned 10 years old when Kobe.
Yeah, I noticed that. I forgot to write that in the notes. I was like, I really wanted to make light of that. And Karl Malone's the day after my birthday. Bastard. Fuck.
Yeah,
what does that say about me?
You're an asshole.
Yeah, fuck it. It's not good.
You kind of look like a white. You look like a white Karl Malone.
Like, oh, come on! I don't know about that.
You take that back immediately.
Like, think about it. Like, Karl Malone has the little beard thing, like the little beard thing going on.
You take it back.
He's a little bald. He got a little bit of hair.
That would imply Lindsay. Lindsay loves Karl Malone.
No, take it back.
I don't take it back at all.
No,
fuck you.
I'm gonna call Russell White Malone now.
No.
White Malone.
Better than Post Malone. Bryant, in a statement released today. Hold on, Bryant, in a statement released today, said he had made the mistake of committing adultery, but added nothing.
What, he slipped, fell, landed in his.
Landed on his dick. Fucking amazing. Nothing that happened June 30th was against the will of the woman who now falsely accuses me.
Yeah, but all right, look.
I didn't write this down, but didn't he buy his wife like a $7 million ring after this?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Right.
But
just so
I think that's like the next year. I'm pretty sure. But
it started here.
Yeah, it started with this issue. Yeah. But this is my thing. And I know this is supposed to be like a politically correct podcast.
Oh, man. Here we go.
When it comes to like this whole rape stuff, like if I get a lot of like Kobe rapists, like in the comments, you will be blocked. I don't care if you're a sub or not. Like we're not doing that, all right? Because I've actually like spoken to people, and they've literally like said, oh, I don't like Kobe because he's a rapist, and that it enrages me. No, it's like even like older women. I'm like, did you guys even like hear about the case? Did you like research? So that's my thing.
Also, Shaq apparently did the same shit. If you ask Kobe, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, I just wrote this down because it was a LA Times article, and I really thought this was hilarious. Headlines I never thought I'd see in my lifetime: Clippers win NBA title. Adam Sandler wins Oscar for Best Actor. Anna Kournikova wins tennis tournament. LA awarded 2 NFL franchises, AFC and NFC. That shit did happen, which is kind of hilarious 20 years later. And Kobe Bryant accused of sexual assault, the final headline they never thought they'd see. This was shocking at the time. Kobe and Tiger Woods were the guys at this point in time to be like, what white America wanted, I think is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Like, no, I'm being like I don't really like that. Like, it's why Allen Iverson was vilified. It's because of people, they wanted guys like Kobe and Tiger Woods.
I know what
you get what I'm saying? And I think that's why this was so shocking. Ironically, both guys I named got sexual assault things tied to their name at some point, which is kind of astounding. Yeah. But major deal. Kobe's going to be in and out of the locker room, even more disconnected from the team than he usually is, because we know that even though Kobe has come across as accurate from a basketball standpoint in multiple instances throughout this beef, the team disagrees because Kobe...
The way he's going about it.
Yes, Kobe's not cool.
Yeah.
He's a fucking loner. And now he's going to be even more disconnected from the team. So, we're getting into October. Mind you, the season has another month before it begins. I warned you guys. This was a wild fucking off season.
Before you go though, I would like to talk about some of Shaq's predictions of how this season's gonna go, because he's pretty much just talking so much big game. Right. That's what he did last year too.
Same thing as last year.
Hilarious. He was pretty much coming at the San Antonio Spurs.
Yep.
Sacramento Kings, Queens. And and the Dallas Mavericks, right?
Yeah.
He said, he's like, I'm not gonna talk about Sacramento because I've been hard on them in the past. like they're his children or something. Like, yeah, I've treated you bad. Like daddy's treated you bad. I'm gonna put you to the side right now. But let's talk about. But San Antonio's window is shut after they just won a championship. That's
Nostradamus.
Crazy. That's right.
The second championship.
Is back. Yeah,
it's only 2-3 right now between the Spurs and the Lakers. It's not like it's a blowout where the Lakers have all the rings.
Yeah,
the Spurs have the other two over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's just they look at it as like there's been dominance, and especially to the Spurs. Like the Lakers have been the reason that the Spurs have not made it to the playoff. I mean, to the finals. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's why he feels the way he feels. Yeah. And he says, that's right. The Diesel is back. Hey, they had a great year. It was their turn. Congratulations. That's all right. like he's really talking so much shit, and he didn't like come off a great year last year. So. Compared to what he's done in the past. No,
and it's going to continue to slide this year, and I think a big reason for that.
But he's the biggest promoter. That's why he's just trying to promote the season.
Yeah. So last year was his last true Shaq dominance, butt sex year, from a statistical standpoint. 27-11, right? Pretty solid, but. The biggest issue for Shaq is going to be two things going into this season. Number one is his contract's not going to get extended by the Lakers. And that's something that he, as we know, who's a notoriously big money man, right?
Yep.
That's something that really fucking bothers him. You know what I mean? And the second thing is going to be his weight.
I think Shaq, do you feel like, let's say Shaq doesn't win championships, right? Sure. Do you feel like he's looked at more like Carmelo Anthony?
From a personality? I get what you're saying.
In terms of because a lot of people looked at it as Melo wanted the money, and when his career mattered. Now he's ring hopping a little bit.
Yeah. But a lot of guys were about their money back then. It was just a different time. The whole. That's why Gary Payton and Karl Malone's dropping the money to go get rings was such a huge news story at this point. It was because it was uncommon for them to do that. Now that's relatively commonplace.
Yeah.
But back then, nobody took less money than they could have made. Gary Payton and Karl Malone could have both. They both were making around $20 million last year, and they probably could have continued to come close to that. No less than 15.
Yeah.
And they decided to come for a combination of 6. That's kind of crazy. And I think he would be looked at as a Carmelo Anthony in the sense that I'm going to do it my way and I don't give a fuck. I'm about my stats. I could see Shaq being one of those guys without a ring.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because that's pretty much what he's been. Until the Kareem stuff, I guess. That's when he that
kind of shifted that 2000
mentality on it.
That season right before they won their first ring, and then that season into their first championship is a big shift for him from a mentality standpoint. But after he won that first ring, it's basically been downhill from there in terms of his mentality. He gets up every spring. He gets up every spring and plays really well and has dominant finals performances, but ultimately, he's fat and he's lazy, and he'll tell people, Phil Jackson said I could be lazy, and it's I'm sure he felt that way some of the time, but he couldn't have felt that way as much as Shaq took it. Shaq took that line and teetered right as close to the line as he could, but without crossing it. He'll go to say in the off season, he'll say I'm 345, 350 pounds. Said O'Neal, who was larger at times last year, which is insane. I'm comfortable right there. If I get back down to 320 or 330, I can't take that pounding. When I was 320 and 330, I had no championships. So his mindset is, I can't take the pounding inside without the weight, but I think it's affecting how many games he can ultimately play every year. And I think it's from a longevity. And we talked about this in the very beginning when we started to see this happen.
Yeah.
I think Shaq could have played even longer for like even better longer without putting on the weight. But he decided to hit that apex. So I guess I can't really blame him, but I think it's coming to bite him in the ass now and going forward.
He made it seem like in the 2000s he was in 340, 350 range. That's what like he kept making it seem like.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true or not. Like
I definitely I think it could even be heavier. Like
in 2000,
like they wrote. Maybe not in exactly 2000, but he's definitely reaching that.
No, but I mean,
he's definitely not getting thinner at that point.
Yeah. I just don't know, because he's saying that when he was 320, 330, that was like his Orlando years, and he couldn't take the pounding. Yeah. So, but I don't know.
You think he weighed less in Orlando?
Yeah, I feel like he weighed more like 300.
See, here's the thing.
But there's no way of proving that.
That's the thing. Is none of these heights and weights are real. Kevin Durant is 6'9", according to basketball numbers.
Yeah.
But he is not 6'9". He is definitely taller than me. Yeah. From Shaq's perspective, like, I'm sure Shaq lied and said he was thinner than he actually was. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Knowing Shaq and his pride, like, I believe he was probably being like, oh yeah, I'm 320, 330, but he was probably closer to like 340, 350. Like, and especially right now at this point and going into the 03-04 season, I bet you he's at like 370. Like, cause he was a house. He was a fucking house at this point. It's so obvious in comparison to where we were even at the start of the championship run, like in 1999.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why I can't believe.
Enormous.
That's why I was saying I don't know if I believe that he was 340, 350, because I'm like, if you're 340, 350 right now, you're definitely weighing, like, you act like we can't see, like, we can't see what you used to look like versus what you look
that's
like now.
Accurate to Shaq's character, though. He would say some shit like that. Like, and he would expect people to not notice. And it's like, it's hilarious. And I think it's interesting the way he looks at it, and I understand the way he looks at it from a weight standpoint. But is
Luke Walton on this team?
Yeah, so this is his rookie year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But going back to the contract issue, O'Neal's under contract with the Lakers for only 3 more seasons. He believes he is due a 3-year extension worth more than $100 million. So much that when he blocked a Mike Dunleavy shot in the third quarter Tuesday, he turned to his bench and shouted, "Now you're gonna pay me? Pay me, motherfuckers!"
Is this like that famous story that he talks about that but I thought it was the next year though.
Nope. Right now.
Okay.
And it makes sense that it would be right now.
Yeah.
Because this was part of, also, this goes back to what I was saying before about the contract stuff. Like, how are you going to tell these guys, oh, I commend them for taking less money, and then as soon as they're in, you're going to turn around and be like, I need more fucking money. I am the franchise. Basically the same shit he did to Orlando.
And those are and the part that pisses me off is there's some reports that try to say, like, I can't remember which players were talking about it, but they were trying to say that Shaq left Orlando because of Penny.
So they go on to write, if either Jerry Buss or Shaq missed the first flare of negotiations, then O'Neal plopped down on the bench, spat a profanity, and said, "Pay me."
Yeah.
In a lighthearted post-game news conference at the Stan Sheriff Center, O'Neal was asked to confirm the demand he made in the moments after Dunleavy drove the lane. "I didn't mumble," he said. "You read my lips, and you read them clearly." So, my man's just starting some shit right here. Like, there's really no, this is like, I don't know. Do you find this to be unprofessional?
Of course.
I think so. I've been the guy that's been calling this guy a bitch for like 3 episodes now. So I need to be sure.
No, I definitely agree. Agree. And in this case, like, that's supposed to be like behind closed doors. You're having your negotiations. I think public negotiations always look like shitty. But then, but what it causes is that same issue that you just said. Like both Malone and Peyton just took money, took pay cuts in order to join the team and try to win a championship. And Shaq's over here saying that he needs more money, and they start asking them questions like, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" Right? like, how do you feel about Shaq wanting all this money and you guys just like pretty much lost out on over $20 million?
It's like Malone chuckled and said, "You know, Shaq."
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. It doesn't really bother me because I'm blessed, O'Neal had said. I'll never complain about what I'm getting or what I'm not getting. Things can be done. If they're not done, then other things can be done. I don't even know what I just read. It's like the dumbest fucking sentence I've ever heard in my life. This guy's an idiot. Like, O'Neal's only recourse would be to opt out of his contract after next season, a move that would leave behind $32.4 million with no way to make it up on the free agent market unless it came from the Lakers. So similar to what we do today. Like the whole team, the team that already has you can, the bird rights and shit.
Yep.
I'm not really worried about that, Shaq said an hour after shouting his demands in a packed arena. I've always been a professional, and I've got, first of all, no, you haven't. I've always been a professional, and I've got professional people working for me. They know and understand what needs to be done. I've been here, 7 years now? And I've always played hard and gave my maximum, even when I was hurt. Not true. So I just want the same honesty and respect in return. If it gets done, it gets done. If not, we understand. This guy just plays both sides of the fence all the time. Like, he's just like, "Oh, I'm super professional. Pay me, motherfuckers!" Like, you gotta make up your mind, brother.
He just has like multiple personalities, I guess.
Facts. He has like fucking I'm a baby disorder. That's what I was saying last fucking episode. It's not gonna get done through you guys. I have something to say to them. I'll walk upstairs and say to them. If they know they've got something to say to me, they can come say it to me. Hopefully it gets worked out. Literally the opposite is what is going on. Like, dumbass.
That's a fact, though. He's dead ass. That's hilarious.
What he couldn't have known, what he should have known, I mean, honestly, but what he couldn't have known at the time because he was too into his own bullshit is that really pissed Jerry Buss off.
Yeah.
Like, if we're to believe that Jerry Buss from Winning Time, the HBO documentary, then you could see exactly how that would piss Jerry Buss off. Like, that get Jerry Buss off. Like, just a real ego shot where he's challenging.
That would be so fire if that's really
challenging Jerry Buss.
Yeah.
But it did upset him to that degree. And him and Shaq had a major rift from that point forward.
Yeah.
And I think that greatly changes Shaq's longevity here in LA. I think without some of these things happening,
not to mention, I was going to say, not to mention the biggest rift is between Shaq and Kobe, and having this young guard that you drafted, what is it at this point, 8 years ago? I don't know.
Right.
And knowing like he could be your future, or thinking he could be your future, Yeah. So I think that's what Shaq wasn't taking into consideration at all.
No, and nor should he. He doesn't. He's Shaq. Of course he's not.
This is such a lie. It says 325 is Shaq's weight.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's like not true at all.
No, but that's.
I don't even know if I don't think Kobe's ever weighed 212.
I don't know. That you got to look that up on your KobeCocksucker.org website. Find that. I don't know about that. Fucking let's see.
Because that would mean that Kobe of 2009 weighed, because he definitely weighed more than this Kobe, or probably the similar. I don't know.
So all right. So right before the season, literally right before the season, the 28th of 2003. So we're almost out of this preseason.
The 28th of October. Just so
October.
You know.
What did I say?
You said the 28th of 2003, and I'm like, okay,
my bad.
The 28th. Like, thanks.
my bad. It's a lot of fucking months and dates. Or math.
Numbers.
Anyways. Yeah, numbers. Fucking
wallet.
LA Times, October 28th, 2003. Before their season from hell came their preseason of hell, as if we weren't already sure throughout this fucking episode. Not even Coach Phil Jackson, who warned his team about what was coming, expected a circus like this. As proceedings in Kobe Bryant's sexual assault case drag into their 4th week without a trial date and strung out the Laker organization barred members of the media on Media Day, then lifted their credential of another for asking the wrong question. So it's getting fucking ugly in Los Angeles. So they talk about O'Neal and his pay me conversation that we just discussed. But then, of course, as soon as that was cleared up, O'Neal suggested his displeasure with the usual suspects. Jackson, who was challenging him through the media, as he's done through this entire fucking campaign that we've seen. Right?
Facts. Yep.
And Kobe, whose mere presence now complicates Shaq's life. Bryant, on the other hand, has bigger problems than O'Neal and is holding himself together with bawling wire. So it wasn't that considerate of Shaq to declare, quote, "The full team is here," when Bryant reported late, or to say that he was resting his sore heel because I want to be right for Derek Fisher, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton, omitting Kobe out of the quote.
Yeah.
So it's just, man, I feel like
a lot of toxicity.
All that rings through in my head when I hear stuff like this is, I feel like at this point of the beef, there was some very real tension going on, but it was also Shaq, who has said this multiple times, just like to keep their beef going. Like, like to fucking stir the pot. But this is real as fuck because Kobe's not going to hear from Shaq and not going to get support from Shaq through this entire sexual assault process. Like this entire court process. Kobe's going to say there's lots of people who have reached out and had Kobe's back, and he's not heard not one word from Shaq.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Do you think Shaq should have, like?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. There's no getting around that shit. That would be like if something bad happened to you, and I just didn't call you.
Yeah,
very relevant of whether we were like arguing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when you're that close with someone, even if it's a work thing or like like I have coworkers that I work with in my job, and it's like I might not know you, but if you're going through some like serious shit, and maybe it's weird because it's like a court case thing. Like I don't know, I've never had the experience of like working with somebody who had a sexual assault case on them. So like I don't know.
So do you know if you know how Kobe has a press conference at some point, and
we're getting to that. We're getting there.
Where he said the thing he says about Shaq?
Yeah, we're getting there. That's coming up. That's very soon. That's imminent. Okay. That is imminent. That is within a week from this exact conversation.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about right here, the quotes that I just dropped from Shaq. Yeah. That is why Kobe, because after that, him and Kobe have a meeting and they get mad at each other and there's almost a fight and then they agree along with Phil Jackson to no longer speak in the media about each other in this demeaning, degrading way where it's negative, right?
Yep.
And then Shaq does the thing about the fucking our full team is here, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then with ESPN's Jim Gray, and this comes out, let's see, got it up. So it's October 27th, right? So I said October 28th. So these are when these stories are coming out, right? So this is all within a week of each other.
Yeah.
It's all within a week of each other. Like, what was your reaction to Shaq saying the Lakers are his team and everybody knows it? It doesn't matter whose team it is. Nobody cares. I don't, Carl doesn't, Gary doesn't, and our teammates and the fans don't either. Like, let's see if we can get to some of the famous parts of this particular. This is the entire interview written out.
Look, hold on, time before you go. Gray asks, do you consider Shaq to be a leader? Brian's response is, leaders don't beg for a contract extension and negotiate
some $30 million.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And that's true, though. Like, you've never seen it from any other superstar. Like, even...
Yeah, they don't beg for a contract extension and negotiate some $30 million per year in the deal in the media when we have two future Hall of Famers playing here pretty much for free. Basically what we were talking about 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's 100% a fact, though. I don't think we've seen any other, like, superstar do that at this point.
A leader would not demand the ball every time down the floor when you have 3 of us, Malone, Peyton, Bryant, playing beside you. Not to mention the teammates you've just gone to war with for years. And by the way, then threaten to not play defense and rebound if you don't get the ball every time down the floor. That did happen. We've covered it in our previous episodes. These things have happened over the course of the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
And that's the thing. Like people obviously don't do their research on it and like look at what's happening. So that's why like I can understand why people like I've always thought it was Kobe's fault for most of this stuff. But that's because that's just how the media loved Shaq.
I feel like the best way to describe this is I don't know if either one was directly responsible as much as it was. They both had so separate agendas that they were no longer interested in doing this together.
Yeah.
And once that happened, then that's when you get this type of shit. Yeah. Do you feel Shaq has been supportive in regards to your legal situation? He is not my quote-unquote big brother. A big brother would have called to lend his support this summer. I heard absolutely nothing from him. I spoke to basically everyone on the team. Phil, our owner, Jerry Buzz. Shaq's own Uncle Jerome called me and left me 3 messages. Other teammates, he's naming more people. Opponents called like Chris Webber, Mike Bibby. So did a lot of coaches. Michael Jordan, who didn't have my home phone, tracked it down to lend his support. Tiger Woods. But yet from my so-called big brother, I heard nothing. Just a burial.
I think that's where the rift finally like takes place is when Kobe felt like he was like Shaq literally just wasn't there for him at all. And that's when like I can understand now why he just dry snitches on Shaq. It's still fucked up because he dry snitched for no reason. But it's more understandable when you like read everything that led up to it.
For sure. But other highlights of this, he's gonna call say Shaq's over dramatizing last year's foot injury and being a selfish player who's threatened not to play defense. Talked about that. Bryant mostly feels Shaq is a hypocrite, telling Gray that Shaq came into camp last year fat and out of shape, and to Shaq's criticism that Bryant's too selfish of a player, he said that's ridiculous. Last year, Phil wanted me to run the offense, so I did it. Phil told me Shaq was not in physical condition to carry out the trust of our offense, so he asked me to do it. That's accurate. We discussed it, and that's something that we talked about last year.
Before this,
tough.
Shaq was pretty much saying like if Kobe wanted to opt out of his deal, he can opt out.
That's enough, but that's part of what stemmed this.
Yeah,
interview.
This whole
because he would say they were talking about Shaq was talking about how Kobe should play. Kobe was like, I'll handle doing the guard shit. And he's like, I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want because this is my team. If you don't like it, deuces, brother.
Yeah,
like crazy. So
the season literally hasn't even started yet.
Nope. This is how the season begins, and somehow these bastards are going to start 20-5 for their first 25 games. I bet you if I had you guess, I don't think I would have guessed 20-5. I would have guessed like solid 500 or less.
Yeah, for sure.
But they come out, and I'm pretty sure the games are not super like blowouts or nothing like that. Yeah. Most of these are pretty close. Yeah, 109-93, like double overtime with the Spurs here to start the year.
Yeah.
Mostly pretty close games. But Karl Malone is the conduit for this, of all people. Like, they're playing exceptional with Karl Malone.
Yeah.
And that 20-5 run, after that 25th game, Karl Malone is going to, what do you call it? Karl Malone's going to get injured. He'll be out for 40 games of this year after that. But Shaq and Kobe are both averaging. It's a pretty even split through the beginning of this year for the team, right? So Kobe's leading them in scoring with 21 a game, but it's close.
Yeah,
and it's pretty nicely spread out amongst the guys. Like, this is honestly, this is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, like you could see why it would work out. Yeah,
it takes the load off of Kobe and Shaq, who are definitely playing less minutes. And while Kobe's going through the shit he's going through with the trial and stuff, 21, 4 and 4, a steal and a half a game, shooting 42%. Shaq,
and they're both average, and no one's averaging more than 16 field goal attempts.
Yeah, everybody's. It's very well distributed. Yeah. Definition of the triangle for sure. But it's crazy because there's just still drama going on, and Rick Fox to start this year is saying, I think the drama is pretty good actually. We had a love fest last year and we lost the championship. We don't get along, we win 3. So I guess I'm happy. It's fucking amazing. And stories are already coming out to start the beginning of this run, talking about how Gary Payton and Karl Malone are the quote-unquote leaders of this team.
Yeah.
And not Shaq and Kobe, which is fascinating.
Because they lose some of their vets anyways, right? So bringing in those other vets who obviously have a ton of playoff experience and ton of just like experience in general in the league, it would make sense. Because like both of them are older than Shaq, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
significantly, I would say.
Yeah. Because obviously Malone is definitely, but
yeah.
Gary
Shaq's only 31.
Years,
Gary Payton's 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Malone's 40. So yeah.
I think if Shaq wasn't so like hell bent on being the leader, I feel like he was realizing it was slipping away from him, like the leadership, or not the leadership, like the control of the team, and he felt like he had to like enforce his like will on it rather than just like, because if he would have let them be the leaders of the team and kind of just played along, like and still been like, because on the court everyone knows that he's gonna be like when shit hits the fan, they're gonna throw it to Shaq in the post or something like that, or have Kobe, like they're gonna have their roles no matter what, you know what I mean?
Right. And I just think it's good. I just think like, I'm just surprised. This guy's 40 years old. He's putting up 14 and 10 with 4 assists. Like,
yeah.
I don't like Karl Malone as much as the next person, but that's fucking nice. That's hard as shit for 40. Like, those are pretty damn good stats for 40. And it doesn't surprise me.
And they were playing solid defense too. Because the crazy part about that Spurs game, I don't know, was that first Spurs game when Malone had the triple-double, or was it another time?
It's the second game.
Okay.
That's on the 28th of November. But that's in this 20-5 run for sure.
Yeah. So, and to me that's crazy because like you could understand Gary Payton still being like very effective, but like for a 40-year-old Karl Malone to go against the MVP and keep him to 11 points.
3 of 10 from the field too.
Yeah.
6 of 17 for Tony Parker. So Gary Payton's coming in and doing what he needs to do, play defense, be the glove. He can still do that.
Yeah. And then it's evenly distributed.
Yeah, except for Shaq. Yeah, look at the way that everybody's playing. This is so different from the team we saw last year where it was Kobe and Shaq playing over 40 minutes a game and nobody's helping. Here, everybody's fucking playing.
Yeah. And it's, I mean,
this is a blowout. This is a blowout.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's still like when we go back here, lots of guys getting over 15 minutes a game here. Lots of guys playing. So they're really trying to be more of a team as opposed to Kobe and Shaq centric.
they probably would have been so much more dangerous doing it this way.
I mean, any team would be. Any team.
Yeah. Because then if they picture them playing in the playoffs like this, but then when shit hits the fan, and you need to get a point. You got either Kobe closing it out or freaking Shaq just getting you. That usually Shaq in the fourth quarter isn't as great because a lot of times they do the hack and Shaq and stuff like that. So I guess that can still be an issue.
Best record in the league, right? They are in the top 10 for defensive rating, almost under that 100-point mark. Not going to be at the top, but they're going to be in the top 3 for offensive rating. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They're playing really well.
Yeah, when you're top 10 at both, usually you're a pretty good team.
Yeah. And so they're living up to expectations at this point, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Or
sure.
do you think they feel like we should be 25-0 right now?
I think they look at that and think that they're doing really well.
I think all things considered, considering all the fucking drama we got through.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing amazing. Also, this has kind of been Phil Jackson's MO to start these regular seasons. Ever since he took over, they only had one losing record in October and November to start the year.
That was last year.
And that was last year. Other than that, no worse. At least 11 wins.
Yeah.
To start the year each and every time like that, which is pretty damn
out
good.
of about 15 usually for the most part. At least more than 15 or more.
They finish December. They go 7-4. It's a little bit rougher without Malone, as we were kind of talking about. It's a lot more bumpy of a road. And I did want to get the free throw attempts for Shaq because I thought it was astounding. Yeah, he's making 7, but he's attempting 13 a game.
Yeah,
which is the most in December. It's in December alone. He's going to put up. It says 13.8 attempts. That'll be on the screen. But 13.8 attempts for Shaq. Just doing his damnedest to take the pounding inside, using all that weight. Like when people talk about the Shaq that we talk about, the big lumbering guy that just pounded inside. All he did was dunk. That's this guy. That's this fucking guy. There's way less jump hooks from this particular guy than there is dunks, putbacks, and just being physical. Than even we saw a few years prior. I think the guy a few years prior had more skill than the guy we're looking at here. And you can tell because his points have dropped significantly. And so he's getting less. He's getting less touches because the field goal percentage still isn't terrible, but he's getting less touches, and it's a lot more like putbacks and stuff like this. Like this kind of a game is what we're seeing more. 7 for 7 from the field from Shaq, 11 of 24 from the free throw line. 25 and 14. They're going to lose by a lot here in this game. But
do you think but do you think it's also Shaq kind of not going super hard in the regular season though? Still, also
definitely this year because he's got other options to distribute the ball to. So
I think that's why he wanted that so bad too.
For sure. 100% agree. But I don't think it's him intentionally not trying, in my opinion. I think he's just trying to distribute the load better because he's recognizing. I think he's recognizing he can't be the guy he was from even a few seasons ago. I think he's starting to realize that before other people catch on. Yeah. That's just my opinion. So we got a huge gap here.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that yet. They still...
No, they definitely don't. They definitely don't. And it was starting to show last year with the toe stuff. But still, people describe Shaq as the most dominant player in the league. And he's the one guy nobody can guard, which is fascinating to me. Yeah.
And to think other owners and stuff are looking at it that way. I mean, but I guess teams feel that way too, because they're being dominated at that point. 20-5, starting out the season 20-5 is pretty good.
Definitely. But that's why I asked it if you thought that they looked at it as they were disappointed, because we saw there were definitely people in the media that thought this team could win 73 games.
Yeah,
like coming into it, 100%. That was absolutely.
I think they thought they could win 73 games too. Though.
Yeah, so at 20-5, you're kind of.
I mean, but still, it's like
you can only afford like 4 more losses.
Yeah, but
that's the crazy part. So, like, and I guess to me, I would look at it if you're looking at 73-9, unless you're like, yeah, it's cool. We're gonna end up 30-9, and we'll just go undefeated the rest of the year, no problem. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm curious. I wonder how it was perceived at that point. But Shaq's going to have a calf injury, as he does every year around this time.
Yeah.
Getting some sort of injury that takes him out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they didn't really know how long he was going to be out.
But imagine asking for hundreds of millions of dollars and for an extension, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then for this is like at least his second straight season of having some type of injury in the regular season that he has to deal with. So like, I don't understand how he would now, like how he like figures that he still deserves the $100 million. Because
in his mind, the last time I signed a deal, there's been 3 championships, and times have changed. If I'm still the most, because of what we just talked about, because people still see him as the most dominant player in the league. Yeah. So to him, it's like, I want most dominant player in the league money. I want all-time great money. I want Jordan money. Jordan, the last 2 years of his career, was making $30 million a year. Yeah. I want the equivalent of that. That's got to be how he's looking at it. That's how I feel like that actually makes sense, but he's not looking at it from a perspective of, man, I'm actually way more injury prone than I was a few years ago. Yeah. And it's actually, from an investment standpoint, kind of illogical for them to stick with me for that money. Yeah. So like, and the Lakers are kind of nudging Shaq throughout this year, like, hey man, you're getting old, dude. You're gonna have to take a little less if we want to win. Like,
I truly don't think Shaq was 100% about winning. Like,
I don't think Shaq was 100% about being out of his prime at all. I think Shaq looked at it like, shit, I got another 5 years left in me. Like, he was completely not aware about his own mortality in the league, which is stupid, because how could you be sitting on your couch every January going, man, I'm still the guy. I'm still the fucking man with the one leg up, fucking with the calf. Yeah. Sorry for my foot in the shot, but like, like with the I just don't know. You got the calf, you got the toe, you're 7 feet tall. Like, any look at the history of the game for guys 7 feet tall with foot and leg problems, and it's like, it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well. Now you're adding weight. Like, Jerry Buss is a smart man, and it was probably a very difficult decision to make, but he made the right call.
It wasn't that difficult once Shaq was like,
once Shaq did the thing, but you're still, it's what they say about trades today. Like, any trade you make of a guy of that caliber, it's like impossible to win that trade.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
they did lose that trade. Like, of course, even though they got Lamar Odom.
But we're going to talk about it when we talk about it, because there are some people like our friend Johnny Arnett who believes it was a great trade robbery. So we will talk about it when we talk about it. But calf injury, right? They're out 2 weeks, and their record while Shaq is out is 5-7 without Shaq in January, basically missing the whole month. The LA Times kind of really come after Kobe, I felt like.
Oh yeah, that's like,
in this.
Yeah. As the great Will Chamberlain would say, Shaq's whipping boy.
Yeah. Bill Plaschke, who's a guy who's been on Around the Horn, like staple of ESPN shows from when we were younger. And he's a great columnist, like similar to Skip Bayless's level of like being a columnist in that career. But so they're talking about this stretch because Kobe's playing during this stretch.
Yeah.
Right? And basically, if Bryant thinks he can win as many championships without Shaq, he's as loopy as some of those jump shots he's been taking. Bryant needs O'Neal more than O'Neal needs Bryant. What few will acknowledge, statistics collected since the start of 96-97 will prove. Let me finish, because I already could see it on your face. Let me finish. In games featuring O'Neal, but not Bryant, the Lakers are 36-8. In games featuring Bryant, but not O'Neal, the Lakers are 53-45. Right? And here's what I got to say about that in Kobe's defense. Actually, wait, there's more stats. When Shaq has played at least 24 minutes this season, the team is 19-7. When he has played less, the team is 3-4. Shaq is the centerpiece of everything we do, Derek Fisher said. Nothing can change that fact. Right? Jerry West and Elgin Baylor were tremendous players, but the Lakers didn't win the championship until Wilt showed up. Phil Jackson said, "You cannot win without a big man," even though he won without a big man. So
yeah,
my big issue with that. I was waiting for you to catch on with that. My big issue with that is, if we're talking from 96-97, I think that's a fucking screw job, because you're counting like Kobe's rookie year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like literally more than half of that time, Kobe wasn't a star. Like you would have never expected the Lakers to be as good without Shaq while Kobe was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So actually, let's go 1 year further. Let's just do the championship years, because it's still a negative record without Shaq. This doesn't actually mean it's without Kobe also, but I just wanted to pull this up because we have the beauty of being able to do this. So they're 25-31 without Shaq through that period of time. It's not a great record, but it's pretty close to what they have here. The 53-45, right? I just think, I don't know. I wanted to look that up because I think it's like, I don't think it's fair to talk, because it's also like totally different circumstances. Like if we let's move it to 24-29. Now we're getting a little bit like, as Kobe starts to develop, it's a little easier to, do things without him. But
from this span right here, that's like where Kobe's, I would say he got to superstardom.
Yeah.
Between these 4 years or whatever, 3 years.
They're 21-12 without Kobe. Like, this is the stuff that people are looking up and going, oh, or the reporter, this is what the guy's reporting. But in my opinion, it's like, I just don't. I don't know if that's fair. I just don't know if that's a fair. I don't know if that's a fair thing to write about Kobe at this point in time, while he's going through court, and like, I don't know. I just don't.
Especially that.
And I'm not trying to ride Kobe's sack. I'm really not trying to ride Kobe's sack. But I read that and I was like, just feels dirty. Feels like dirty journalism.
But it's also like, when you build a team, that team was originally built to be for Shaq.
Sure, that's what Derek Fisher was saying.
Yeah, like you can't. It goes back to what I said this before too. Like when you talk, like if you look at the 09 Lakers compared to how this Laker team is built, it's completely different, and it's because you were building around, for the most part, you were building around Kobe, and then building around Shaq, but then as Kobe became more of a star, you started building around both of them. Right. But it's completely different than how the 09 Lakers were, because they needed to be built differently. That's why it just doesn't make any sense. Like, of course, it's not going to be like, is a puzzle going to look right if you take out its biggest piece? Like, no. Right. Like,
I was just surprised to see that.
When years pass, like, I mean, now more people love Kobe, but literally from all of our childhood, or like in high school and stuff like that, everyone always blamed Kobe for
I feel like you have. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I feel like it's weird when you say that, because I feel like you had a very weird view of this as a child. I feel like knowing you the way I know you, you look for these sort of things.
Yeah, but I mean,
you actively seek these things, where I feel like the information was out there, but it wasn't out. Like, it was more, the information you were getting was more from people being like, nah, Kobe was not that good. You're fucking dick riding. Shut the fuck up. That's definitely what that is. More than people are like, because I do agree that Kobe did take a lot of shit for this, and maybe more than he deserves. But to say that it was completely one-sided,
but it's also through media heads, though. Like, media heads have like really pushed that too, though.
I think, but I also think it's a combination of what you're talking about, but also like Kobe's unwillingness to be forthright with the media, especially at this point in his career. I think he's going to get better with that as he gets closer to retirement. Like, there's a lot, like, and that's what it allows him to build his brand around that. But at this point, like, he's, like we talked about, he's disconnected himself. He's the loner. He's kind of abrasive or aloof. Abrasive and aloof, rather. And, like, I don't know. I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. But when we look at Shaq's health, there's a story that comes out where a doctor is part of this article and is talking about Shaq, who will turn 32 in March, missed 30 games over the previous 2 seasons. He's in his 12th season. He's played 136 playoff games, has perhaps taken more of a pounding than any other player because smaller opponents have no recourse but to hack away. And it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You can't. And they go on to say, O'Neal's recuperative powers always seem to peak around playoff time. He has never missed a game in 10 postseasons.
Yeah.
So he always manages to spruce it up by just some spring cleaning. Gets his body ready. But when he returns from this calf injury, they're going to go 29-10 for the rest of the year. And Shaq's going to be 10th in points per game during that stretch and have the highest field goal percentage, shooting 60.5%.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
And that type of shit is, I think, what scares the league.
Yeah, of course. At any moment, he could just completely turn it up.
Yeah.
But let's see. Oh, so Shaq's suspended for 1 game, right? So, and I always figured he was suspended for this, but again, never really took the time to do the research.
Yeah.
I've watched this clip, and I'm sure most people who are watching this program have watched this clip 100 times. I'm going to play that clip right now.
You were frustrated at how the officiating went down the stretch there, but you guys pulled it out and was a big win.
David Stern wonder why the league is losing money. That's why. People pay good money to come watch these athletes play, and they try to take over the fucking game.
Shaq, we're on live. I know. Let me ask you this.
And it's just he gets suspended for 1 game because they won this game, right? It's this game right here against Toronto.
Yeah.
Shaq's going to have a dominant game, I think, fueled by being angry, right? but people take over, and the refs trying to take over the fucking game. I tried my hardest to figure out why he would feel that way, right?
Yeah.
So he gets 2 free throws in the 4th quarter. The Lakers are going to have 6 free throws, but the Raptors are only going to have 2. They have the Lakers.
How many turnovers did the Lakers have? 3 versus
3 turnovers in the 4th quarter to the Raptors 3. There's no obvious. If we stretch it to the whole game, Lakers are going to take more free throws, specifically Shaq. So Lakers are 22 of 28, and the Raptors are 24 of 35. So, yeah, they took a couple more, but they didn't make that many more, right?
Yeah.
25 personal fouls for the Raptors, 30 for the Lakers. It's not that dramatically different. So I was really surprised to see Shaq being so passionate.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's like the what they're not calling. Like that could possibly lead to turnovers. Like, he has 6 turnovers, and he's probably arguing that it's because of if you go to his full game, he has 6 turnovers.
No,
so I think he's looking at it like,
see how many he had the 4th.
Yeah, like so he's probably looking at it as, they're hacking me, you're not calling, and now it's leading to turnovers. It's making this game closer than it has to be.
So yeah, he's gonna get.
He
fined.
looked like such a big baby when he was going through that.
Shaq, we're live. Shaq, we're live, buddy. I don't give a fuck. So I did want to know. I haven't noted every regular season game, obviously, but I did want to note this game because I thought it was incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
He's going to come back from this suspension and play against a rookie LeBron James in an absolute thriller. And it's just a Shaq versus LeBron because no Kobe.
Yeah.
And Gary Payton's going to show up and put up 30. He was inspired by young LeBron. Yeah. Really sick game from Gary Payton. But Shaq's going to have 37. I think it's 37. Yeah, 37 and 12, 6 assists, 2 blocks.
That's fire.
Not to be outdone, LeBron 32, 4 and 4, right?
Yeah.
4 from 3.
For a sec, I thought it was 45% from the free throw line. I thought it was the field goal. His field goal percentage for a sec. I was like,
14 of 21 from the field. Yeah. Basically, Gary Payton became Kobe for this game.
Yeah.
Shit is crazy.
And
but this game's going to go overtime.
Yeah.
No, he's not back yet.
Yeah.
He comes back next month. But Shaq, in the fourth quarter, put him on his back.
Yeah.
14. Let's go, Shaq.
Yeah.
Finally a game.
This is one of those things. It's funny because, like, when you think about it, 10 years prior, Shaq would look at these kind of games as on the map games where people could get to know him, and that's literally what happened. Because I'm sure there's so many people watching the Lakers play, and then you got people wondering who the hell is this kid from Akron?
Yeah, and he was, and based on some of the stuff I was reading about this season, and obviously we talked about this in LeBron's legacy breakdown, but he was a sensation. Like the media was falling in love with him immediately, loved him. But I just thought that was interesting. It's a really good game. The highlights are going to be on your screen. Yeah, it's a really fun game to watch and a duel between two absolute legends at different points in their career. Shaq's going to win his second All-Star Game MVP, 24 and 11 in 24 minutes. And they're going to go 11 and 4 in February. So I wanted to check in. Let's check in on that thing I had earlier. So Big Two stepping up in a major way come February. Kobe's obviously not going to play all the games in February, as we were kind of looking at it before. But when he shows up, he plays.
7 and 8. He pretty much averaged 8 assists a game.
It's really fucked up. You know what's fucked up? All I think of is Dave Chappelle fucking doing his bit about Kobe. And what? He said Kobe went out there and balled out.
Kobe was playing his ass off. He was playing like his freedom depended on that shit. You see that motherfucker in them games, this nigga's trying to beat that case on the court. Like the judge threw him the ball, like, play for your freedom.
It was like the judge threw him the ball and said, play for your freedom. I always think about that when I look at this shit. Legendary Dave Chappelle bit. Legendary Dave Chappelle bit.
Hilarious.
Fucking judge.
Funny as shit.
So funny. So fucking funny.
Shit.
But yeah, Kobe's going to carry them. But Shaq's starting to get into form here as we're entering the postseason or around the postseason. 25 and 10. 2.3 blocks a game, shooting 64% from the field.
Gary Payton has been pretty consistent too throughout this whole year for the most part.
And he hated the triangle. Something I was looking at in my research is
I thought that was interesting because I mean it made sense because he was pretty much just trying to run the fast break instead, right?
But that mix probably really helped them.
Yeah,
I think it probably really helped them
because it speeds them up because that triangle makes them so slow.
That you'd think, right? But I look at the pace from this year. I was looking at the pace from this year. They're 6th in pace. Now it's 92.3. So but
they were fast in there. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But this is also that era. We're going to see the Eastern Conference Finals. they're going to be like 65-63 games.
Yeah.
This is that era of defensive poverty. It's fucking or offensive poverty, excuse me. But no, so Karl Malone's going to come back, and the Lakers are going to finish the season on a 14-4 run with Karl Malone. Amazing how well they played with him.
Yeah.
Karl Malone, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Just come right back, picks up right back where he left off, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And they're going to finish second in the West, despite all these injuries and people coming in and out of the lineup. Well, the last thing we got to talk about here during this regular season is this last week here. So they're going to lose by 17. Here we go.
I know something.
They're going to lose by 17 to the Kings.
Can I just know something real quick? Because I just noticed this about you. Like, I noticed you tend to, like, try to highlight a lot of Kobe's low moments, and I don't understand.
Because because you know why? Because we're looking at it from Shaquille O'Neal's perspective. That's why.
I don't like
Shaquille O'Neal's paying attention to all of this.
You should be like real about it and show both, because Shaq was.
Well, this is very real. What's about to happen right here? So this is the biggest game of the season, of the regular season, according to the LA Times. It's a rematch with Sacramento, and the Pacific Division title is up for grabs, as their records are relatively the same, and we're basically the same going into the game.
Yeah.
So Kobe's going to shoot once in the first half, 0 points, intentionally overpassing.
But quick question, Russ.
Yeah.
Shaq literally shot one time that same half. Why is it okay?
I'm just telling you what the story is. So,
but whose story? Like it's literally LA or whatever. Like the world is literally against Kobe at this point. We know this.
There we go.
He literally,
huh?
No, all jokes aside, he's literally on a rape case right now.
Yes.
Like the world is literally completely against this guy.
Yeah.
And like still for the whole game, he shot more shots than Shaq. What is like Kobe literally?
Because he turned. He goes 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter. Shaq finishes with 10 points himself. Phil Jackson's going to come out after the game and say, quote, "Y'all seen it like I seen it," he said, which is weird to hear him saying y'all. I've never heard Phil Jackson say y'all. Anyways, y'all seen it like I seen it. We just came in and didn't play. That was it. And I feel like, to your point, you could kind of say that about the whole team here. Like, Karl Malone's got a double-double.
I mean, he probably wouldn't have, but
nobody on the whole team scored more than 15 points. So I think it's a dud from everybody.
Yeah, but why is Kobe getting the brunt of it? That's why I don't understand.
Because I feel like typically in these situations, Kobe would shoot his team out of these
they still lose the game. So this is my thing. They still lose the game when he tries to shoot them out of the position, and then it's looked as Kobe's a team obliterator because all this.
Well, that's actually not true though. Like we've looked at in previous seasons, like in 2001, Kobe was the leading scorer for the Lakers. When Kobe was the leading scorer for the Lakers, he had a way better record than Shaq. Like, it was through like 36 games. Kobe was like 15-4. Shaq was 7-8 when they were both the leading scorer. Yeah. So it's just a narrative combined with the fact that Kobe doesn't really associate with his teammates, which is something we've talked about earlier in this episode.
Yeah.
He's very much estranged from his team, especially with the rape case going on at this point. But Kobe's going to say, "I think we're okay. We're always a confident bunch. We believe we can win anywhere, at any time against anybody."
The things Russell won't tell you. Right after that 8-point game, he 45-piece nuggets.
For sure. But I'm sure he's also like played really well these last few years against the Warriors specifically. Like it seems like he goes out to violate the Warriors frequently. But
he's crazy, like popped his Achilles because of him. Yeah.
But no, this is going to be a continuous thing. People are going to harp back to this game this Sacramento game as we get through the playoffs. That's why. That's the real reason I wanted to bring it up, because it comes up more than once as we get into this postseason. We're into now.
And
so
I apologize if you feel like I'm attacking you, Russell. But if you're pushing the narrative, then this is how I would be acting in 2004.
You're not attacking me. You're attacking the LA Times. I'm just don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, it's literally just times. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and it's also blame Phil Jackson, who says Kobe could really be the glue that holds us together, or the force that breaks us apart.
But Phil Jackson is a bitch. Like we definitely know this.
Phil Jackson definitely likes to use the media.
Phil Jackson wouldn't be nothing without the two greatest shooting guards of all time. That's a fact.
There we go.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and also the most dominant player in the league, who is on his downswing here. So let's get into this postseason.
All right, okay.
So the first game,
Rockets.
It's kind of just a rough, when you're looking at the box score of the series.
Yeah.
To have your winning team put up 90 points a game. What is the pace? Pace is 87.1. Yeah. So this is just snail's pace. Absolute. We're in the peak, or the valley of pace in the NBA, especially coming playoff time. Like, the Pacers and the Pistons are going to have just a incredibly boring defensive conference final. So we are in that era. First game, 71-72 victory for the Lakers. Yeah. Which is insane. Despite scoring 9 points in the third quarter, an abysmal third quarter, they still squeaked it out and finished it. What were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say, like, typically, like, a lot of people feel like defense is like such a big thing the NBA is like missing or whatever. But this was probably like some of the most defensive, like, based years, and 100%. It was arguably the worst basketball, like some of the worst basketball in the modern era.
It's very glorified though because of the teams that are involved, right? Like somehow this season, and the Pistons who won this season are never glossed over. At least in my opinion. I don't think they're glossed over. They're constantly talked about as the only team to really not have a major superstar and win. To get to this point.
And that's a fact. Like,
but it's also great timing because of how defense. Say that again?
Was Chauncey Billups even an all-star that year?
I don't know. We'll look at it when we get to the finals. But it's just crazy because I think it comes at a great time because of how defensive the league is. Like they are the most defensive team in the most defensive era. Yeah. Right? Short of that late 90s shit show, this is the most defensive season really that we're going to see. Yeah. But 71-72, Jim Jackson's going to get a chance to hit a game winner, but as you can see, terrible shooting game, 1 of 7 from 3. Yeah. And this is a team that was spreading guys out around Yao Ming.
Yeah, no 20-point guys, literally just straight up on the teams. But it makes sense. They're not literally scoring enough.
Shaq, 20 and 17, 4 of 14 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Ugh, filth. Kobe, 16 points on 19 shots. This game is just a absolute doo-doo fest. I would not recommend going back and rewatching this game, even though it's a 1-point game.
You're gonna watch a lot of misses.
Facts. Yeah. If you're a fan of 2020 basketball and you go back and watch this, you're gonna go, how the fuck did they even have fans?
Yeah. And
they didn't. It was very unpopular at this point.
Yeah, it was like but that's where some of the stuff gets skewed, right? Like, because you could look at some of these, like you look at some of these players and think like, wow, they had like horrible games, but it's like these were literally the times. Like, it was just so defensive based. Like, Shaq scoring 20 is like 30% of the team's points or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yep. And to your point, Kobe once again is going to take 1 shot in the first half. But he's going to do everything else. 5 assists, 4 steals. And then in the second half, he'll try and turn up, but he will be unsuccessful, despite the fact that they won by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
Shit is crazy. 11 points on 18 shots in the second half.
Yeah.
Shaq, not to be outdone, 4 points on 6 shots. Just a Oh, filth. I'm done with this game. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Absolute filth. So game 2, Lakers turn it around and have a much more Lakers-like performance.
Yeah.
Getting closer to 100 points. Kobe's going to have 36 here. 16 of 17 from the line. Getting to the free throw line at will. Shaq, though, not having a Shaq-like. This is the first game in Shaq's playoff career. The very first game in Shaq's playoff career where he's going to score less than 10 points.
Yep.
Astounding.
It's crazy, like, and it happened. I felt like it was so drastic because, like, last year he was still averaging about 25. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And, like, now to be in like the teens, so like on some a lot of these games are he's in the teens.
And it's just funny because, like, there's stories like Karl Malone here is going to have a good game, and Karl Malone played Shaq one-on-one before game 2 and said that after the game, O'Neal tried to take credit for Malone's good performance. But I bring that up to say he's warming up. Like, he's still, 33 minutes, though, is weird, especially under Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Who's been playing him over 40 minutes a game this entire campaign since Phil Jackson's taken over the reins coaching.
Yeah.
So it's just a really off.
I also feel
like, even though his plus minus is the highest plus minus of anybody else on the court.
Yeah.
So like
I'm just so surprised by this point. This team is still not clicking. You know what I mean? Like, it takes them a decent amount to like finally click in this playoffs.
Yeah. I think that has to do with the chemistry, but also the injuries we saw throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
Felt like as soon as somebody got back, somebody else got hurt. Yeah. I felt like that was happening a lot.
That was huge. Especially with because with Karl Malone, they played so well. So, and like at first, and then they went on like, they obviously had to play almost half the season without him.
Right. Kobe refused to talk to reporters for an 8th straight day after game 2.
Yeah,
Still upset about people questioning his motives when he took one shot in the first half of a regular season loss against Sacramento. Yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about it so bad. Even if it was just for a little bit, I wanted to bring it up because he's not talking to the media, and I feel like the narrative out on him is I don't think he's going to be a Laker after this season.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter whether the Lakers win or lose, I feel like people are starting to get the sense that Kobe's on his way out.
Well, they even know that because like soon the reports as we get to the next series and stuff, they talk about shit like that already in the midst of the playoffs, which is insane to me.
So another bad game from LA. They let the Lakers score over 100 points. Which has been pretty consistent. Like, if you score 100 points on this Laker team, you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
It's been fairly consistent throughout this entire Lakers championship era, these last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Shaq, 25 and 11, looking much more like himself. Sticking to his thing that he always says on NBA TV, a great player after a bad game must come back and have a great game.
Yeah.
And he definitely did that shit. Definitely. Yeah. Kobe, 21 points on 20 shots, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block, all over the stat sheet. Karl Malone at 40. I really don't like Karl Malone as a human being, but this season is even though he was injured for some of it, it's really impressive how solid he's been.
I'm surprised. Like, it actually made me gain a little bit more respect for him.
Take it back.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, in terms of basketball, because I always disrespect his basketball shit, but I think this season, like, just learning a little bit more about him.
No,
like,
there will not even be begrudging respect for this man.
I just don't. Maybe in the Kobe legacy breakdown, like in the future, we can find out like if they have reports on the Karl Malone and Kobe thing, because it never came up, right?
Oh no, I didn't go out. To be fair though, I didn't go out of my way to look for it.
That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
But
I know it exists though.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I like them Mexican girls. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know the context of that, and they're just gonna hear me say that and call me a racist.
Yeah,
it's about to happen next.
We fuck Malones. We don't like Maloney's bitch ass. I don't care if you score 18 points and you 44. Bitch ass bitch.
So
bleep me all out. Fuck that. Fuck you too. Fuck Karl Malone. Fuck the free world.
Yeah. Fuck the police department. Fuck the FBI. Fuck the CIA. Fucking. So Rick Fox, after Game 3, we're playing very good teams at this point in the year. Also finding ourselves having to make adjustments on the fly. We don't have the experience of having enough experienced triangle players to step out on the floor for Phil Jackson to let us go and read the defense and, let us make adjustments as we see fit. Yeah. There's more control from the bench because there has to be. There's no comfort zone, no reliable offense for them to fall back on when things get tough. Because Malone and Gary Payton are so unfamiliar with the offense, Jackson has scaled down the scheme, making the Lakers more predictable.
Yeah.
And they're still not running it properly. By taking bad shots from unusual spots on the court, it puts them out of position on defense, throwing them out of whack at that end of the court.
I like how that's really broken down. I like that. That was good reporting right there.
Yeah, facts. And really gives you a sense of what exactly is happening out there.
Yeah, exactly. It draws you a perfect picture.
Yeah. But the last sentence of this particular article with that good reporting says, if they're struggling to get by the Rockets, who have 4 playoff rookies among their top 6 players, what's going to happen against an experienced group such as the Spurs?
You want to know what happens? We fuck them up. That's what we do.
We're getting there. So, going back to Karl Malone, who's having a ridiculous series, he continues it in Game 4, and basically is the reason they're going to win this Game 4 here.
Yeah. Pops him right in the lip with the 30-piece.
40 years old, in overtime, 47 minutes, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals.
That was like a vintage Karl Malone.
Absolutely vintage.
Yeah.
The amount of shot attempts, the field goal percentage. Shaq, 17 and 12.
Yeah.
Wow. Great game. Every player in the Rockets starting lineup is in double figures. Jim Jackson's, who's a guard, is going to end up with 20 rebounds. It's ridiculous. There's a guy who's 7'6" on your team.
Yeah, seriously.
It's fucking insane.
With only 7 rebounds. That's crazy.
Yao was never historically a fantastic rebounder.
Yeah.
If you look at his career, he just grazes 10 rebounds a few times.
That's why I feel like he's, not for nothing, I feel like the only reason he's in the Hall of Fame is because he's Chinese.
Oh, come on. There's sort of, but it's because he was a big factor in bringing basketball to China.
But that doesn't mean anything in terms of, as a player,
It does, though, for the Basketball Hall of Fame. It does. That's why Ginobili's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Because it moved the needle to...
And it moved the game forward.
But in terms of
basketball is fucking huge in China.
In terms of skill and shit, as a player, Yao Ming is ass cheeks. And I can tell.
Ass cheeks is far from accurate. I would say he would be solid in 2020. He would be solid.
Literally one of the worst people in the Hall of Fame.
You're bugging. No way. I don't agree with that.
Don't count the 60s kids that can't, that barely know how to dribble and shit, they dribble like this. Don't count those. I'm talking about 80s and up. He's the worst, for sure.
Nah, come on. I don't agree with that. I'd have to look at
not worse,
it really
maybe,
closely.
But top 10. He's in top 10 worst, for sure.
I'd have to look at it. I'm not giving you that answer. There's still a bunch of guys off the top of my head I'd rather have.
You're going to text me later.
Yeah. That ass. I'm going to send you a list of guys I'd rather have over fucking... Or I'd rather take Yao Ming over. But Lakers smashed the Rockets in Game 5 to close this series out. Finally saying, listen, you motherfuckers, you're weak, you're inexperienced, and I'm slapping you with my cock.
Pause.
As a team. Big purple and gold cock.
Pause.
So, Shaq, another rough game, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. All over the stat sheet, yes, but not a very Shaq-like performance. Kobe, 31 points, 10 assists,
is what you're saying.
21 shots, playing really well. This is a solid Kobe Bryant performance. How many points did he have in the fourth quarter? Probably not a lot because they blew him out. But Yeah, 2 points. So must have did most of his damage here in the first half.
No,
it's a really good game.
It could have been the third quarter. You never know.
20 points, 6 assists in the first half. Really smashing them up. And Karl Malone, again, outstanding.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a way different Laker team after this first round. I feel like that's absolutely.
You could tell that they're starting to figure some stuff out as the series continue. Literally in every series, it's pretty much like that.
Shaq had 4 or more fouls in every single game in this series.
Yeah.
And I thought that was important to note because he plays a really low amount of minutes and he absolutely sucks for most of the game, or most of the games. It's just true. He does. And
it just becomes a liability after a while.
Well, look, this is what the LA Times say after Game 5. Shaquille O'Neal, although complimented by Coach Phil Jackson on his defense, seemed invisible during long stretches, finishing with only 12 points, 2 offensive rebounds, and 4 turnovers. Right? Remember how it used to be Kobe and Shaq? Now it's Kobe and Karl. I'm going to repeat that. Remember how it used to be Kobe and Shaq, 2 guys in their prime? Fantastic. Now it's Kobe, a young guy, and literally an ancient human who is retiring when this is over.
Yeah.
It's Kobe and Karl. Remember how this time of year used to belong to O'Neal? Now it clearly belongs to Bryant, who fought off the urge to fall asleep in the car on the way to the game. Crazy quote.
You know how stressed out Kobe been?
Facts.
Come on, man.
That's the idea behind that quote.
He can't sleep. His life is on the line.
But 42 minutes a game for Shaq, 16 and 11, 3 blocks a game. Really fucking underwhelming.
And I would say Kobe had a bad series there, and he still had 24, 5, and 6.
He had some pretty good games. His field goal percentage was rough, but so was everybody's in this series.
Yeah.
We go down here. There's 50, low 50s, which is low for him. Yeah. But I think him and one other guy are the only people to shoot above 50%. Yeah, 51.5% for Shaq.
Yeah.
But they do manage to squeak through, and nobody fucking predicts them to be champions right now.
Yeah.
I would imagine the consensus is Spurs are fucking you guys up.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. This is going to be, maybe people are looking at it like a gentleman's sweep.
It's the 1 through 4. And then especially for the first 2 games, the Spurs pretty much make it seem like this is about to be a walk in the park.
Yes, they do. So game 1, the Lakers are up for a certain point of the game. Yeah. They have a humongous third quarter to go up and be up 32 to 21 third quarter to have them in position in the fourth quarter to get this win.
Yeah.
And they commit 11 turnovers. The Lakers commit 11 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Just everybody's getting in on it. This is crazy. This is fucking wild. They don't have a turnover gap, but it's 11 turnovers. And the Spurs dominate the fourth quarter, 26-13. Tim Duncan, savage, 12 points in the fourth quarter. What did he have for the game? Duncan, 30 and 11, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Even though he had 7 turnovers, smashed for them.
Do you think coaches and GMs are still scared of Shaq at this point?
I feel like the fear is weaning, but I would still say he is looked at almost automatically as the most dominant player in the league. I feel like there's nobody really. I don't know. There's no, Duncan's a great big man, but he's not a great center. And there's a big difference between center and power forward still at this point. So I would say yes. I still think people are afraid of him more than anybody else in the NBA right now. And the fact that he's got Kobe, who's arguably the most terrifying guard in the league right now, too.
Yeah.
I think that helps. But yeah, the super team's just not. Gary Payton is just fucking sucking. He sucked in the last series. He's sucking now, and he's bitching. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say it's because he doesn't like the triangle, and he was
which is fascinating.
The triangle all year, and it's and his biggest thing is wanting to run the pick and roll and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, and because he didn't like the fact that Tony Parker could come at him and he can't go right back at him.
Yep.
But
very Gary Payton thing to say.
And I look at it and I'm like, and you wonder why you fucking never won a championship. Like, like that mindset is exactly why. Like
Tony Parker, to your point, 20 points, 9 assists, 3 steals.
Yeah.
Played a pretty solid game for, at this point, the youngster.
Yeah.
Right?
Shaq said, bottom and stuff.
Shaq says, we're angry because we had the game in hand. Then we got cute with the ball and they capitalized off our turnovers. Basically accurate. In their previous 4 series, the game 1 winner has gone on to capture the NBA title. That's a stat.
Yeah.
That's a bar right there. So after this game, everybody's writing off the Lakers. Everybody's basically like, the Lakers don't have what it takes. They're not getting through this dominant San Antonio team.
Yeah.
And they're going to go down 2-0 here. 95-85.
And at this point in NBA history, only 7 teams had done it.
Done what?
Come back from 2.
Oh, yeah. True. It's a significantly smaller number. And so everybody's just writing them off. Even though Shaq has a vintage Shaq game, finally.
Yeah.
32 and 15, 71% shooting. Really interesting, right? So, like, David Robinson wasn't the stat sheet stuffer supreme while he was here during this period of time, but Shaq's really, like, able to do damage against them since Robinson's been out of the picture, like from a stat standpoint.
Yeah.
As opposed to previously where Kobe really had to carry the load against this particular team for success.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out because as we know, Shaq's not at the point he was. Yeah. And it seems like he's having more success now.
Two things with that.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the Tim Duncan and David Robinson. And because like David Robinson wasn't like he played more of the defense towards his towards the later and like he stopped pretty much trying on offense or not.
Absolutely.
Like
That's
fair. He wasn't their go to, right?
But he gave Duncan the car keys.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then the second thing I was gonna say was that's crazy. Hedo Turkoglu was on the Spurs. Like that would have been like perfect. Like if they would have kept him, like he would have been perfect for the Spurs.
Yeah, how many minutes did he play in general this year? Was he like?
That's crazy. This must have been his.
No, he got. I knew he was on Sacramento because he was part of that Kings situation.
Yeah,
he played 1 year in San Antonio. That's why I was like, I don't fucking remember him playing for the Spurs.
Yeah,
but 6-man off the bench. Where's Ginobili? Is Ginobili dead?
They probably didn't expect Ginobili to be what he was at this point.
Oh, they definitely had. Oh no, Ginobili's here. He's a 6-man. He's having a.
This might be his first or second year.
First or second, yeah. I was about to say the same shit. Yeah, second year. You were right.
Yeah, and I could totally see them picking up Turkoglu because they didn't know what Ginobili was going to be because that first year didn't really show them much. That's
fair. That's a good point. That's definitely fair.
Because they're very similar, like similar-ish players.
Especially right now. Like, Ginobili definitely is a better ball handler and distributor and, like, overall has more skill, but not exactly right this second. Like, I feel like Turkoglu and Ginobili kind of have similar games. Turkoglu's less movement, but still, maybe that's why Shaq's just fucking eating. Because if Duncan doesn't guard him, it's just absolute ass soup Duncan down there with him.
Like, he was like, literally, he's like 100 pounds too light. Like,
it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Shaq, they did what they were supposed to do. Now we've got a couple of chances to go home and do what we're supposed to do. The series is not over by any means. Unless the Lakers suddenly find an answer for Parker, it might very well be over. Look, the writing is so good. On a court that featured 3 of the game's top 5 players and 2 more probable future Hall of Famers, Parker was this evening's outstanding performer.
Yeah.
What did he finish with? He had 30, I think. Yeah, he had 30 points, 56% shooting at his small stature is pretty damn good. 5 assists, 3 steals. Solid-ass game. and very much the yin to Duncan's yang. And most importantly, Gary Payton just getting destroyed. One of the greatest guard defenders of all time.
Yeah.
Getting eliminated. So, Game 3, Lakers really got to fucking answer.
Yeah.
Like, they need to answer, and they're at home, and they're going to answer with a classic Shaq and Kobe game. A game that we've seen millions of times.
Woo, woo.
Fucking 22, 6-6 with 2 steals for Kobe. Shaq 28-15, 5 assists, 8 blocks.
That's crazy. He averaged 4 for the series. That's insane to me.
My guy definitely was doing steroids. I don't have any proof to confirm this, but
how does that?
How are you telling me
blocks and steroids mean something? Like
it's just,
what's the connection?
I don't understand how the Houston Rockets had him in more dire straits from a statistical standpoint than this Spurs team that's way better.
What are you talking about? That Yao Ming has given Shaq an issue. Like, he's a 7'6" monster that's right in the...
That's true. That's a good point. That's fair. This is still a crazy game. Yeah, 28-15 and 5, 8 blocks, 4x5 for Shaq.
Yeah.
He's never... I wonder... I got to look up... It'll be on your screen if I can find it, whether he's had a 5x5 in his career. I've yet to see one.
Hell
but I feel like he's due.
Shaq ain't... no. Hell no.
What do you mean? All he needs is some steals, and he's got it. I just don't...
Don't get no damn steals.
He got some sometimes.
Like 1,000 steals in his whole career.
Jesus, everybody else on this team got steals, though. Everybody's got at least 2. It's wild.
The reason is because they could go for the ball because they have like a big man right in the middle. So they don't feel like not many people want to go up on Shaq. You know what I mean? And clearly he's getting 4 fouls, averaging 4 fouls a game. Like, he's gonna hit you hard. So that's why they could go for the ball so easily.
So Kobe said, I think the 0-2, being down 0-2, sparked us and set the tone and let everyone know how big this game was and the sense of urgency we needed to play with. I think everybody came here to see what Laker team was going to show up and how hard we were going to play, and they got an answer. So obviously very fucking motivated. If you don't get up for this game, you're going home. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Like,
so this,
yeah.
And right after this, I think this is insane, but like maybe I'm just like overreading it. With the on Saturday, Phil Jackson spoke about. Did you want? All right.
Yeah, go. You're gonna bring it up.
Phil Jackson spoke about the Lakers' imminent breakup after the season. That's like crazy. They like after a win, like what? Like, and then he says, and Peyton chastises the reporters for harping on his struggles against Tony Parker. Like they're still looking like distraught after a win.
Yeah, it still looks like a roller coaster or a barreling tornado heading your way.
Yeah, exactly. Like like if someone was actually following the Lakers at this point, who would actually think that they were going to win a championship or like even get to the finals?
Oh, I'm sure there were some that were like, look at it, we got 4 Hall of Famers on this team. Fucking no problems.
But like with all these issues,
that's just noise. That's all made up bullshit. Whatever. There's probably less of that going on in the early 2000s than there would be now, but fake news. Absolute fake news. But no, yeah, that's classic Phil Jackson being Phil Jackson.
But it just doesn't make sense at all. Like it was making it worse.
When did you talk about that? After which game? After this game or the next game?
3, yeah. Yeah. That's literally right after Shaq's quotes. Or Kobe's quotes about Shaq, my bad. Yeah, it's insane.
He's so weird. It seems like the way this season has been, nothing has been easy for us, Malone said. It's like the things have to be tough for us to respond. And with our backs against the wall, we really needed this win. That's actually pretty accurate. Like, through this entire run, if they're not angry or pissed off or having people talk shit about them, they really do. It reminds me of that Warriors team that KD had been on after a couple of years that played like
2019, I think.
Played like Albert Einstein in school. Like just super bored, not really wanting to be there. Wake me up when June comes.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely some of that happening.
It might have been the 18 Warriors. But the crazy part about going into that game and how much like pressure was actually on the Lakers at that point to win that game, the Spurs had just won 17 straight games.
Right. Yes. That's true.
So it's like they were like the hottest team in the league too. So like I could totally see if the Lakers were like in terms of betting odds, like if the Spurs were just like
astronomically in their in the Spurs' favor.
And even with that win, I'm sure people are still looking at it as the Spurs like are still like they just had a bad game finally. Right? Like after fucking like literally 5 weeks. Like
so Game 4, the Spurs are going to respond, like for sure. They go up. They're winning in the second half or in the first half. They lead the first half 53-43. They're up 10, right?
Yeah.
And then the Lakers just absolutely dominate this second half.
Yeah.
Completely dominate. They're going to win 55-37 in the second half. And Kobe's going to have 24 in the second half.
Yeah.
With a total.
That was a 48 piece, right?
Yeah, 42 for Kobe.
That's
28
insane.
and 14 for Shaq with 4 blocks. So something happened after that, after the 0-2, where everybody in the locker room was like, let's get back to what got us here in the first place.
Yeah.
Giving these two motherfuckers the rock and getting on board.
They scored like 75% of the team's points. Dumb 2. That's insane.
It's an astounding. I
don't think that's ever happened before.
It's absolutely happened in games, but it's what this team is built to do, which is that's incredible.
That's crazy to me. Like
it should be.
Have you ever like? I can't think of anyone that's ever happened with.
This was the dream for Joel Embiid and James Harden. This kind of box score.
Yeah.
This kind of box score right here, where they're both getting to the line 10 plus times.
Yeah.
They both can't be double teamed because if you double one, it's going to the other one. Pick your poison. And it's just they are the best 1-2 punch to ever play when their heads are screwed on right. And even when their heads are not screwed on right, they still dominate half the league.
Yeah.
Which is a testament to how great they really were.
Yeah. My GOAT.
So yeah, the Lakers
Kobe
took control
got a
in the
lot
third.
of fucking 40 pieces on the Spurs. Just so, like when we think back about this Dunk and Kobe debate, that's something like.
Here we go.
I'm just saying because with let me just say something with the LeBron Jordan thing, we couldn't talk about them against each other. Like we got a multiple series of Kobe straight dog walking them.
Got to do Duncan's legacy breakdown and break it down under his perspective to know for sure. But
his perspective, I'm telling you about the truth.
No,
my man was dicking them down.
Fucking. So this is one of the most famous games of this era, and one of the most famous games of all time.
Yeah, we thought this happened last season, but it was actually
right.
That? Yeah,
I thought I did. I wasn't sure where it was, and I wanted to make sure I didn't fucking miss it.
Yeah, because this shit is fucking. I think it's probably the craziest shot in NBA history. Like,
you could be right.
Like, what? No, I don't think there's ever been something like that. Like,
so my favorite part is how nobody talks about this particular shot that happens before the point 4 shot.
Yeah.
Which is Tim Duncan hitting an incredible. Look at this angle. You got two guys in your face. You got Shaq
right on you.
Right on you. Arguably fouling you if you were looking at this
now. That would have been a foul. In this NBA, that would have been a foul.
Or if it was against Michael Jordan, it would have been a foul. 100%.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And I'm a Jordan fan, but goddamn, that guy would get fouled with pinkies. Anyways, somehow Duncan is going to fucking swish this shot.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And the whole building thinks the game's over.
And
this series could flip. This series could flip.
Pause real quick.
On this game, yeah.
This literally always, every time I see him do this, it brings me back to that conversation we had like 2 years ago about power forwards not being able to hit a last second shot or something. And I'm like, well, Duncan was just different. Like he's not. He's the
Except
best.
Perfect definition of the exception and not the rule.
Yeah.
There's like Tim Duncan, KG, like, and after that it's like Dirk, and it's all the guys from this era.
Yeah, which is
and Bob McAdoo.
Yeah,
and like outside of that, I don't want my power forward. Taking shots, and especially not game winners. So 0.4 seconds, right? Spurs definitely got to feel like this game's over, right? So you got Shaq here. He's definitely not getting the ball. With 0.4 seconds left, any jump shot that Shaq takes is an automatic brick. You might as well just, if the ball ended up in his hands, the game was absolutely over.
Yeah.
Then you got the Mamba, who the ball is probably supposed to go to, over here.
Yeah.
And he is completely smothered. They should have put all their fucking guys over here. It's insane. You might as well take Duncan, and because unless Shaq gets a dunk, a lob dunk, he's not going to have enough time to get this off. Yeah. But that leaves little Derek Fisher.
I still wouldn't trust. I wouldn't trust Shaq with like anything.
No, like, not with 0.4 to go.
His klutzy guys, like I ain't trusted him.
And this is, without question, the biggest game of the Lakers season. They lose this game. Yeah. I don't know if they win this series. And I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but it's a fact.
The way this series, at minimum, needed to go Game 7 against the Spurs in Sacramento. Excuse me.
In San Antonio.
Yes.
And they needed a road. They needed a road win somewhere down this line, right? Yeah. So gets the shot, and I got to be honest with you, man. To this day, I really don't know if he got the shot off.
So
I'm not positive. I've never been able to get it fast enough where I can click it right when it releases his hands.
Yeah.
But this doesn't help either because they turn to the basket. Like if they had a wider shot there, it'd be better.
And the Spurs fight it.
They do. That's why Fisher, if you notice, Derek Fisher just gets his shit and gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Gets the fuck out of there.
So, but like the breakdown of that play, I think Pop breaks it down or someone breaks down what Pop did with that play. I think it makes so much sense because they went to double team Kobe because they didn't need to worry about Peyton passing the ball. But the part that messes it up is they give Gary Payton like a clear pass to Fisher, like a perfect pass to Fisher. Like if someone's in front of his face, maybe he throws it a little off. Like you know, like just little.
And that's all you need with that little amount of timeline.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Tip it or something. You know, like. But it makes sense. You didn't want Kobe, and then I like how the reporters said they remember that Portland game because that's the facts. You remember what Kobe did in Portland with the 1 second whopper?
Was that this season or last season?
That was last season, but they remember.
That was last season. Right?
They still remember.
That was a nice buzzer beater.
Yeah, so they I don't want to be the second Kobe 2.0 shot.
Fucking So the LA Times, right? Is it physically possible to catch, turn, and release a basketball in 0.4 of a second? Is it humanly possible to accurately measure the time between Fisher's first touch of the basketball and his release of it? Again, we go to the stopwatch. This guy in this article is constantly using the stopwatch to kind of figure this out. I tried filming the final play 10 times. 7 times, Fisher's shot came in under 0.4 of a second. But unlike the officials in San Antonio, I had the advantage of knowing where the inbounds pass was headed and to whom. Fair point.
Yeah.
3 times, Fisher failed to beat the clock. The difference? A flinch? A twitch? Too much caffeine in the morning? That's what I'm saying. I agree with this guy. I've never been able to get it where I'm like, I'm sure this fucking guy got the shot on. One of the craziest shots in the history of the game.
Facts.
Like, absolutely one of the craziest shots.
If this was in the NBA Finals, it would have been the craziest shot in that.
Oh, yeah. Bigger than the Ray Allen shot.
Yeah.
Bigger than anything, I think.
Even it being in a game 5, I think it would still be. Because that's huge.
O'Neal's thought on both the Duncan shot and the Fisher shot, quote, "One lucky shot deserves another." I love it. I love it. So amazing. So now Lakers got all the fucking momentum.
Yeah.
All of it. All the momentum heading into
game. They just won 3 straight games.
Yep.
While after this team had went on a 17-game win streak, Lakers said, "Nah,
Duncan would be absolutely murdered
out of them
in today's NBA, or by today's NBA media. The Spurs and Duncan would have been like, they got to blow it up. This team's trash."
No, not after winning championships. They won 2 championships already.
Hey, you ever see the Monday morning quarterbacking that happens in today's world? Blow it up. Fucking awful. Destroy everything. Shit, they're saying it about the Lakers right now. I don't even need 2020 lens.
Yeah. Facts.
So I'm sure they're looking at the Spurs like, Tim Duncan, this is a terrible thing for your resume. You're absolute doo-doo, hot garbage. Not as good as you think you are. Lakers win 4 straight games and come out in this game 6, 76-88. More low-scoring, boring garbage. And
scoring boring garbage.
It's a fact. There's no getting around that shit.
Yeah. Some of the nostalgia, like when you really like break that shit down, like I used to like love some of the wackest shit.
Some boring ass basketball.
Like, because when you look between the 90s and this era, like that's like like maybe early.
If you can't admit that basketball is better, if you can't admit that basketball is better in 2020 or the 2020 era, like this, watching the game is better. Even if you hate 3-pointers, you'd be bugging to think that the game is worse now. There's a little bit. People think that there's a little less strategy, but I think there's way more skill, and I think that's why it is the way it is.
I still think that there's like. I think that there's a lot of strategy in NBA today. Like, I think just people don't watch it enough. Like,
there's definitely a lot of. I'm not disagreeing with that, but there's also a lot of like free flowing movement.
Yeah,
that happens, which I think is better
personally. On the offensive end. But like, I think they do a lot of shit. Like even on the offensive end, but I don't know. That's a difference.
Well, defense, there's just more things you can do. Like, zone just started coming back in this era. And now they've had years to handle it, so you can do more. But for their lapses throughout the regular season and the playoffs, the Lakers know how to play elimination games. This was the 11th straight time they have closed out a playoff opponent on the first attempt. A stretch that dates back to April 29th, 2001. Wow. A few seasons now. Super wild. Super wild. Did I even mention the big numbers here? Kobe carries them, 26 points. Shaq, 17 points, 19 rebounds, 5 blocks. Just a complete turnaround series for the Diesel. Like, in comparison to the series we just saw, very much turned the whole thing around. 22.5, 14.5, 2 assists, 4.3 blocks, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
63.5% shooting. That's fine.
Gotta do it. Between those two, playing like that. That's what. Can you see what they averaged for the last 4 games? Like, because I think you'll see a huge turnaround.
I can. So, first 2 games, Kobe 23, 7.5, and 6, shooting 39.5%.
Yeah.
Last 4, 28, 6, and 6 with 2 steals, 49. Shooting 49.5%. Significantly better. Yeah. To your point. 70% from the line, but who's counting? O'Neal, and a similar thing. I'm sure Shaq's are going to be pretty drastic. Yeah. But he did have that solid game too. So Shaq 25 and 14 in the first 2 games in the losses. And then it's probably going to be pretty close, actually.
Oh, it might be.
21 and 15, 5 blocks in the 4 wins. Yeah, so he just said, fuck it, I'm going defense, and I'm going to let the guys around me do more shit. and I will be the defensive anchor and gobble up all these fucking rebounds. Shot 62% too, so he could have put up more buckets had he needed to.
Yeah. How many free throws was he shooting? I'm curious because I feel like
for the whole series or just for the 4?
The whole series.
10 a game.
That's crazy. I feel like why wouldn't they do the Hack a Shaq? Like that's Pop's thing.
It definitely is. It definitely is, and he definitely made it more popular than it had been.
Yeah,
so it's a good question. I'm not totally sure. But Lakers are going to go from literally being doubted, being like this team, there's no way they're getting through the Spurs, to now they're the favorites for the finals.
Yeah,
overnight favorites for the finals.
All in like a week span.
Yep,
that's when you really, yeah.
And kind of disrespect shown to a really solid Timberwolves team with a Kevin Garnett during his MVP season.
Oh, ain't nobody scared of no Kevin Garnett and his MVP.
Oh, come on. He was fire this year. He was really, really good this year. And this team was really, really good.
No love from here, you little dirtbag.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked by that announcement. But KG, I'm pretty sure, is 24, 14, and 5 with a steal and a half and 2 blocks a game. Absolute stat sheet. Giannis level stat sheet stuffing. Like, crazy. Sam Cassell, 20 points a game, 7 assists, right? As he's on the way, trending downward. But this is like one of the last great years for Sam Cassell. Latrell Sprewell, the coach choker, 17 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3.5. You don't know about that?
More about this team. I feel like I've heard a lot about it, a lot of these names, but I never really cared much. Look back.
The Laker killer, of course, Troy Hudson.
Oh yeah,
as we learned last year, the Laker killer. But no, yeah, Latrell Sprewell choked out his coach. It's a crazy story. Feel free to look it up. It'll be on your screen. I'm sure I'll at least get you the headline.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team's going to make the conference finals after years of playoff hardship, right?
Yeah. The Lakers gave us some of that hardship too. Remember that?
Yes, they did. That's absolutely true. One thing before we start this series.
So
it comes out on the 23rd. So right before game 2, right? I'm going to go back to game 1, but I really want to talk about this now. New York Times. If this is indeed the final act of the Los Angeles Lakers, O'Neal Kobe Bryant dynasty, Shaq may one day team with his good friend Tracy McGrady in his old digs, Orlando.
That was crazy. Yeah. This is New York Times, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that they just be saying whatever. We know this already, but keep on. They've been doing this since forever. I'm surprised they didn't say that they were coming to the Knicks.
Well, it makes sense. It would make sense for them to go to the Magic because this is also around the same time where Duncan was going to go to the Orlando Magic and Tracy McGrady and be on that team. And then Doc Rivers said Tim Duncan's family couldn't come on the plane, and Duncan was like, "Deuces, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Fuck you guys." Biggest blunder ever. But Shaq obviously had been with the Magic previously, was looking to go back to Florida, as we kind of know what we know now, right? Although it would take several steps for O'Neal to join the Magic, a person close to McGrady said that he and O'Neal talk often about playing together in the future. That is the 05-06 season. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's 2 years from now, right? And both players can opt out of their contracts after next season. And O'Neal has said he would be, quote, highly upset if Phil Jackson were forced out of Los Angeles.
Yes.
So we're starting to get a feel for what Shaq wants to do and what Shaq is feeling at this point, which is even if we win a championship here, something's got to change. Something's got to give.
But he should have known that already because he's not even on it. He knows that his contract's up too. And he made it a huge deal in the beginning of the season.
Yes, he did. And but I think there was also a part of him that was like, well, Kobe's leaving, so you know maybe they'll keep me. I would like to be a Laker for life, whatever. Yeah. Which is I just thought that was fascinating
But like, I'm not gonna lie. At first, like a lot of people made it seem like it was crazy that they did what they did with Shaq. But in this playoff so far, you could completely understand why.
Great point.
Like anybody who's being logical, like Shaq is not nowhere near who the fuck he was 3 years ago, and the Lakers knew that. They were like, literally, we got this guy who's like not like Kobe's the guy at this point. Like
he's fat, he's lazy, he causes drama.
I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying.
He causes drama. I'm saying he causes drama, and wherever he goes, a media circus has followed him throughout his whole career now. Like even in Orlando. He brought media to Orlando in the 90s when that was hard. Like, I can't stress to you how much of, like, people talk about, you remember, I mean, you weren't a big football fan at this point, but do you remember Tim Tebow?
Yes.
And Tim Tebow couldn't get a job as a quarterback in the NFL because the excuse people gave was his arm, number one, his arm was weird, his throwing motion was weird, and then number two, because wherever he went, the media and literally every media outlet on the fucking continental United States would follow.
Yeah, but I thought it was like it was kind of like I don't want to make it whatever, but
the Jesus stuff.
Yeah, well, it was the Jesus stuff, but then a lot of people like compared it to what they did with Cap.
No way. Can't say. What they did to Cap was way more fucked up than what they did to Tebow.
No, I know. Like, but I feel like that side does the same thing. Like they do. They like the religious, obviously side that they like make it seem like they were blackballing him too. Kind of
well,
thing.
I think the religion.
Like, Tebow was actually like more ass cheeks. Like,
well, that's the other thing. If Tim Tebow could play like Michael Vick, he still would be in the league. But
exactly.
He wasn't good enough to justify the media circus. Nobody wanted a media circus for your backup quarterback constantly telling you,
only Skip Bayless did.
Yeah, facts. Exactly. Skip Bayless loves this motherfucker?
He can never be in the Cowboys. Like,
he can never be in the league. Fuck all that.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't do some shit like that because he just cares about the money, right? So like he didn't. But he had no money at that, right? So
but Western Conference Finals Game 1. The Timberwolves just come off a Game 7 or a 7-game series that's hectic and physical against who else but this pesky Sacramento team that's been around the last few years. Yeah. And Timberwolves are going to get 80-83 in Game 7. And Garnett, the other great power forward, 32-21, 32 points, 21 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 5 blocks, is everywhere.
In Game 7?
Yep.
That is fire.
He is a savage.
Good shit, Garnett. Look at you. You was making your argument.
Yet another legacy breakdown I would love to do in the near future.
Yeah, for his 1 year.
Fuck that. Fuck that. At least the episodes will be faster than Shaq's because he's out of the playoffs quickly or doesn't make it every single fucking year.
Yeah, fast.
But no, so they just go through that absolutely grueling Game 7. And I think there's some residual effects here in Game 1 against LA.
Yeah.
Like they keep it close, but Garnett goes from that 32-21 game to 16 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 assists, 47% shooting. To my point. They kind of took the gas pedal off a little bit.
Think about this. Like that loss to Sacramento towards the end of the year that fucked them up. Arguably, you could say like helped them get to the finals.
The conference finals, yeah, maybe because they wouldn't have.
Not conference final. I think finals in general. Because like, let's think about it. If they would have won it, they would have faced Minnesota first, right?
Right.
You most likely would have had the Lakers. Probably would have still won, right?
Yeah.
But then you got the Spurs with more games on their back. Like in the playoffs, more fine-tuned than you get them in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it's way more. I could see that. I see what you're saying. For sure. Man. So, Shaq, another Shaq-like game. 27 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. Another near 4x5 performance. Kobe, 23 points on 20 shots.
Yo, you know if you have 0 steals, you're not even close to 4x5, right? Or whatever.
4x5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I said 4x5.
Oh, 5. Okay.
He's probably got way more of those anyways.
For sure. He's probably like, no, I'd say Hakeem is probably the. All right, let's keep on with that.
What was the pace in this game, I wonder?
Slow as shit. Probably.
87, right? Because Garnett says they were coming at us really fast, or they were coming really fast. Said, oh, never mind. What I meant to say is,
pause.
The double teams are coming really fast. Coming really fast.
Oh my god!
They weren't waiting for me to put the ball on the floor. I've got the film. I'll dissect it. I was trying to find my open teammates, but I've got to figure out a way to do that and be aggressive at the same time. I've got to find my teammates, but not be so passive. He sounds like Kevin Durant.
You go find that puss.
He sounds like Kevin Durant when the Celtics swept him on Brooklyn. Just kind of confused.
Yeah,
like not really sure of himself, which is interesting.
Overwhelmed. That's fine.
But Shaq,
they come back. They come back with a nice little. Whoop! They pop back. They're like, "Yo, what's up, man?"
But Shaq's gonna go 9 of 11 from the free throw line. That's the last stat I forgot. And he credited his his quality free throw performance to an article given to him by Coach Phil Jackson. O'Neal said the article was one of a couple 100,000 that Jackson had given to him. But the first one that he read, it was written by some 80-year-old guy who says he made 3,000 free throws in a row, O'Neal said. He said, when you focus too much and focus too hard, you usually fail. So I stopped focusing on making it and focusing on my fingers, and I just focused on my routine. Now my routine is the same every time. It took you how many years to figure that out?
Yeah. And to do it once, because it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, what the fuck are we talking about? That guy was always looking for reasons to have people say, hey, get off my back about the free throws.
Yeah.
I get it. And then it's cool, because in his retirement, he's going to go on to say, God had to make me bad at something.
Yeah.
God had to give me a kryptonite. This fucking guy. So Timberwolves are going to come back and smack the Lakers in game 2, even though Sam Cassell goes out early.
Wait. But Shaq's kryptonite wasn't shitty food?
It might be 2.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. He's definitely like 400 pounds at this point. He is an enormous bear of a man. Especially by this season. Fucking A. That's great. But the hero of this game is some guy named Derek Martin, who comes in for Cassell, puts up 15 points and 6 assists, and in a starting role, and like kind of saves this for them. Because look, he plays 43 seconds, Sam Cassell, who was averaging 20 points a game.
What happened to him? Did he get injured? Like how?
Let's see. He hobbled to the sideline with an ailing back and hip.
Yeah, and Trenton Hassel looked like he must have got injured too.
Yeah. So and it was all in the first quarter. So things were looking bad. But KG, 24, 11, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block.
Yeah.
Spreewell had a good game. Didn't choke out his coach. Shaq, 14. I'm not going to let it go. 14.
Messed up.
14 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. Only 10 shots taken. Again, I don't really understand that. How many fouls did he have? Only 1. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know why he keeps disappearing. It's been noted before. I just don't know why he's.
Do you think Kobe's fading him out?
I don't know. I don't get that vibe. I definitely think the Wolves are playing physical because Shaq's going to bitch about it.
Yeah.
But Shaq's going to say about his performance, just blame it on the rain today, he said. It was just one of those days. I missed too many chip shots. It happens. I usually don't go 4 for 10. I won't be looking to go 4 for 10 when I go home.
Yo, I don't feel Shaq is wild, man. Like, I don't know what He never just takes accountability. Like he doesn't say, "I just had a bad game." Like no, he always.
I think that's as close as you're going to get to him saying. I think that's as close as you're going to get to him saying that I had a bad game.
Yeah,
I definitely think that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, so Minnesota kind of up the ante. Phil Jackson said they came out and played a physical game. We're physical and we're good at it, or we're physical and we're good at it. Now there's some things in this rivalry that are personal. It's fucking crazy. Shaq says that's more to our favor playing physical. That's something we're used to in a style we like to play. They want to play football, we'll play football. Something that Shaq said over the course of these last few seasons is that he's the best NFL player in the league. Right? The best NFL player in the NBA. So Lakers do
linebacker.
Lakers do make good on their promise and beat the Timberwolves by 11. Shaq doesn't go 4 of 10 this time, but he goes 7 of 10 and goes to the free throw line 22 times. Yeah. So you're goddamn right they were playing physical, and they were getting this entire front line in foul trouble. KG's going to foul out.
Yes.
Irvin Johnson has 5 fouls. Serbiak's got 4 fouls.
Yo, they got magic? I didn't know that.
Yeah. They wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? Shaq's free throw shooting method just like fucked up somehow. What happened? Little epiphany. Like
so much
he would have
had
a 40 piece if he would have fucking made 81% of those.
Yeah. Minnesota does go to the hack of Shaq in this game when they're down. And that's what creates O'Neal's massive free throw accumulation. He's going to go 2 of 7 in the third quarter. And then in the fourth, he's going to get a couple more.
You know how boring those games are, man.
6 of 12. Yeah. Super boring. We've seen guys get hack-a-shacked as recently as a few years ago.
Yeah, the Ben Simmons one.
Andre Drummond.
Yeah, Ben Simmons.
Guys like that. Andre Drummond, who's a worse free throw shooter than Shaq all time. It'll be on your screen. Fucking, he's the worst free throw shooter I've ever seen in my life. Andre Drummond. I don't
care about Drummond because he also helped.
But it's a very, as promised, it's a very physical game. Extremely physical game.
That makes sense that like the Timberwolves would be like that. Like that's like Kevin Garnett's like motto.
Yeah, this is the same guy who last year was like, "We have to eat their heart.
Eat your food, boy.
Rip their babies open by the fucking belly button and eat them."
All like up in like him and Karl Malone were probably having like such a shit talking fest.
Oh, 100%. I gotta believe that.
That's probably the best. And Gary Payton, oh my God.
Kevin Garnett versus Gary Payton trash talk. I would pay to see that. They don't even have to play the game. I just want to listen to them talk.
Just talk shit, yeah.
All-time great.
$20 to do that.
All-time great shit talking. So before Game 4, Kobe's got to make a pit stop at the Colorado courthouse.
Yeah.
Which is the 4th time that he's had to show up on the day of a court appearance to play a game, and they're 4-0 during that before this game. And Kobe's averaging 30.5 points, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Hashtag play for your freedom. Fucking amazing.
Hashtag Kobe mad as shit and ready to fuck people up.
Yeah, same difference. So, Kobe in this game, 31 points, sticks to his average. They win this game. So they're 5-0 now. Shaq, 19 points, 19 rebounds. Again, 10 field goal attempts. Don't really understand it.
Yeah, it's just like that's where he's stopping at.
While Karl Malone's 5 of 18. Like, I don't understand that shit at all. They need you, buddy. And you're just not.
You think
you could do more?
I think that's what.
I don't know if he's quitting on them as much as Russell just like disappearing.
I feel like Russell thinks Shaq is quitting on him. That's what
I just don't know why. I just don't understand the lack of aggression from a guy who has been nothing but aggressive for half a decade now.
All right, so this is my thing. I don't want to be this guy, but Shaq is about his money.
Sure.
If he gets a big injury right before he's about to lose this thing, he already got his 3. We already know it. Like, he's happy with the 3 championships. I think he's trying to get a big payday.
You think? Wouldn't you then play really well then? Wouldn't you then try to play extremely well? Like,
but like,
I don't know if that's fair. Like typically guys who are on the last year of their deals have better stats typically than they did before that because they try extra hard because they know they got to get a new contract.
I think especially with his biggest issue is the health. I think that's what everybody is looking at with him right now.
It's what I've been looking at for the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I think his biggest thing is getting through the season healthy. So if a team does pick him up or something happens, then they will at least know like he's going to be able to train for the off season rather than get some type of surgery or something. You know what I mean?
That's fair. And all that stuff has historically fucked up Shaq for that next season after injuries and stuff like that. But he's admitting that he is just out there banging with opponents down low. Yeah. Going on to say the quote we brought up previously, "I'm the NFL's best NBA player," O'Neal said of his physical dominance. "Obviously, I'm playing football out there. That's more to my advantage because they'll get tired before I do. I was born for this. When I was born, they dropped me on my head. I'm used to roughness." I could picture Mrs. O'Neal just being like, "Okay, go ahead, buddy." Hold him by the feet and just drop his ass head first. Fuck it.
Caused like a huge crater in the ground.
Yeah, right? It's like when Superman hit the Earth. That level. But the Lakers are going to almost win Game 5. Very close. They had to make a massive fourth quarter and second half comeback to even come close to make it happen.
And this is the first closeout loss that they've had. They break that
in 11 tries.
Yeah.
Not since Game 5 of the 2000 NBA Finals against Indiana had LA failed to win a closeout game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time. Just goes to show their reign of dominance over the league.
Yeah, seriously.
But KG, another vintage KG performance. 30 points, 19 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. 10 of 11 from the free throw line. Latrell Sprewell.
That was at home, right?
Yes, they were number 1 seed, so yeah. They were at home.
They were the number 1 seed? I thought they were the number 2 seed.
No, that's why Garnett got the MVP, is because they were the 1 seed with all those stats.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The Lakers were the 3rd seed?
No, they were the 2 seed.
Okay. The Lakers?
They were just a wildly disappointing 2 seed.
Kings had a better record than them.
They did at that point, but they probably didn't
at the entire end.
Yeah. Oh. When it's all said and done. Yeah. Beat them by 1 game.
Oh, okay.
I know what you're about to say. So all that bullshit that you did with Kobe was for nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Fuck the media.
That's what. All right. I'm just,
it's all good. I did it for you. But Shaq's going to go 20 minutes without a field goal in this game. 20 game minutes. So another disappearing act for Shaq.
Yeah.
6 of 11, 17 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks. Defensive, but not aggressive performance, right?
Yeah.
When asked why he wasn't more active in Game 5, O'Neal muttered, "You have to ask the guys with the ball. Don't ask me that." So we're back to square one here with Shaq. You have to ask the guys with the ball. Don't ask me that. Fucking Shaq. God damn. So Game 6.
It's just like so toxic. Like, mind you, like
that's the word. That's the word to describe this whole season. The one word that I can use to describe this entire year is toxic. Toxicity.
My fucking job.
Yeah. It's stupid.
I feel you, Kobe. I know exactly how you feel, man.
I feel you both these motherfuckers in this toxic environment.
I don't know. Shaq is causing toxicity. My man is BJ.
Kareem.
I like how we just go with that. You just knew what.
The fuck. Kareem Rush is going to have the game of his life here. 6 threes made, for the Lakers. The others were needed to get this game done. How many points did KG have? KG had 22 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. 8 turnovers for KG, which would cost them the game. So Rush, who recorded just 4 field goals and 11 points through the first 5 games of the series, goes 6 of 7 from 3. Excuse me. Fucking wild.
Who was that? Rush?
Yeah. Kareem Rush.
My man became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Rush.
Facts. Kareem Curry.
Yeah,
Kareem Curry. 100%. The Lakers, who won for the 9th time in 9 playoff games at Staples Center. So they're undefeated at home so far, which I didn't notice until just now.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's a really good point you made before we started talking about this series, is that if this is the Spurs, maybe with a whole another series in front, like maybe they don't get through this Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
they really are scratching and clawing their way to the NBA Finals here.
Yeah, seriously. And then, so this is their 4th NBA Finals in 5 years.
Yep,
that's pretty.
That
hadn't been done.
Phenomenal.
That hadn't been done since what? Probably the Lakers in the 80s.
Yeah, right. Because Bulls took the 2 years off.
Yeah.
So that would be 6 and 8 years.
The Lakers. Yeah.
Celtics are probably close to that, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it is the Showtime Lakers as the team to do that. So pre-NBA Finals.
Okay, but just before we get really rolling, is his real legal name actually Chauncey Billups?
What do you mean?
Like, is that his legal name on his birth certificate?
What's wrong with that? You mad he's like a Pokemon?
What's wrong with you? Why would you not his legal name? What are we talking about?
What do you think his name? What do you think his legal name is? Oh, Bob Billups.
Like, I just don't know. But like, where do you come up with that name?
There's that motherfucker Bob. We call him Chauncey. No one does that, Lindsay. No one does that. Not anyone on earth would fucking do that.
No, it really does sound like a Pokemon, like a Chansey, but he's Chauncey.
I knew you were fucking thinking that. I knew it.
I didn't know what you meant by Bob, but all right, man, that's hilarious.
Fucking
like, why would you not think that was a real name?
Because it doesn't look
my guy Bob Billups.
It's like they can't pronounce the Pokemon right. It's like, that's Chauncey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be Chauncey.
That is hilarious. That is so funny. But no. So I looked at pre-final stuff. Lakers are overwhelming favorites against this Pistons team that solely got here on their defense. I want to look at that Eastern Conference Finals real quick just to prove a point. The average points. Look at some of these scores. Look at this. No team hits 100 at any point in this series.
Insane.
They both averaged almost under 75 points for the entire series. The pace is 83.
Are they the best defensive team in the league?
In terms of defensive rating?
Sure. And points allowed. I'm curious.
They are second in defensive rating and second in points per game. I think the Pacers are number 1. I think the Pacers.
That makes sense.
That's why your fucking final game of this series is a whopping 66 or 65 to 69. Yeah.
This is probably the worst. Yeah, the worst.
That's hideous.
Playoffs like ever.
Outside of a series I bring up all the time, Heat Bulls from the Jordan era, from the second three-peat. That is the worst series of all time.
Bro, they shot
that series is awful.
Bro, effective field goal percentage. The higher end was 41%.
Yep.
That's insane. Effective. That's not like their actual field goal percentage.
Both teams shot under 37%. And the winning team of this finals, the winning team shot a worse percentage, 33%.
Bro, we literally get mad that players shoot that for like 3-point shooting. like we like get, that's insane. That's so crazy to me.
It's fucking hideous. There's some really awful basketball being played.
Yeah, like no one really likes to see defense. Like we talk about like defense wins champion, all this. No one want to see that shit.
No, I don't want to see it. You don't want to see it, and we're not gonna go back and rewatch it.
And even those people that say, "Yo, back in my day, the defense that we used," you don't want to see that either. Like
hell no, hell no. So pre-game, this is what Los Angeles must do to win as of June. This comes out right before Game 1. Number 1, take Detroit seriously. If the Lakers do this at least 67% of the time, they will win the series in 6 games. Although their chances of a victory in Game 7 at Staples would be good, all bets are off if it comes down to one game. Number 2, feed Shaq first. The offense must feature and run through Shaquille O'Neal. As great as Kobe is, O'Neal is the one who ultimately makes the difference. And when he is happy within his role in the offense, O'Neal defends and rebounds with greater tenacity. If the big dog ain't me, the house won't get guarded. Back to that quote.
Yep.
Limit turnovers. In its search for points, Detroit will try to force turnovers. The Lakers, however, committed the 5th fewest turnovers in the league. If Los Angeles can follow that pattern, the Pistons will be hard-pressed to score enough to win. Sounds accurate. The Detroit. The biggest one that I want to bring up here, apply full court pressure. This is Detroit's biggest advantage. The Lakers do not like to be rushed, but the Pistons, particularly their second unit guards, are great at applying smothering full court pressure. The Pistons will not rattle Gary Payton, but by disrupting the rhythm of the Lakers' half-court offense, they could force Kobe Bryant to try and do too much and take the Lakers' focus off of Shaq. In the Pistons' ideal world, the pressure would force turnovers and lead to easy baskets. That's kind of what's going to happen throughout the majority of this series.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting how the New York Times absolutely kind of nailed that. Chauncey Billups has a quote that I wanted to talk about here. Chauncey says, or Bob, according to Lindsay, our game plan was very calculated.
Can we call him by his middle name, which is Ray?
No,
you racist. No, you're
I
racist.
deadass Googled him.
Calling him Chauncey.
After we had the conversation, I Googled it to make sure that that's his legitimate legal name.
We're calling him Chauncey. You're racist. Let's move on. Our game plan was very calculated. We knew we were going to play Shaq straight up.
Pokemon.
Yo, future us viewer, man.
We knew there was no way we could stop Shaq straight up. And there was also no way we could stop Kobe straight up. But if we're going to play Shaq straight up, the Lakers' eyes are going to get big, which means they're going to keep throwing it down there.
I'm sorry.
What?
That was just so... No, nothing, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, man.
We're telling Ben Wallace the whole time, take fouls when you need to. Don't get yourself into foul trouble. You take fouls when you need to, but don't get yourself into foul trouble. You need to give up a layup. Great. We're going to get what we want on the other side. But what's going to happen is Mr. Bryant is going to get a little discouraged with getting no touches, and now the second half comes around. Now he's pressing. He's going to start coming down and just breaking the offense. When you do that, you're done. You're playing right into our hands. Even if you start making those shots, you're finished. On that note, let's look at Game 1, where statistically, that's exactly what happens. Almost to a T.
Yeah. Kobe admits to this too.
Yeah, he absolutely has, and he did when he talked to Shaq.
Yep.
And their meeting.
On the Pistons thing, that's my fault because I didn't get us prepared to run our automatics. I didn't get Gary, I didn't get Carl, I didn't get the new guys on board enough to be able to execute properly. And we got to Detroit and it forced us to play our offense 94 feet and we weren't ready. That sits with me. That sits with me because we should have won that.
Easily.
Yep.
Ben Wallace guarded me.
See, what they did, the whole strategy was move the pressure up.
Yeah.
If you move the pressure up, it takes away Shaquille as a threat because now they have to harbor the ball up the court with pressure on the perimeter. So now that forces Shaq up. So now if he has to catch the ball at the top of the key for our automatics, he's not in the paint. Now that takes up all the seconds, all the time in the world to be able to trap him. Now you got to swing it. Now you're running late on clock. You got to force up a shot. And that was their whole plan. And I could have done a better job in leading us to counter it, man. It sucks.
Shaq, 13 of 16, 34 points, 11 rebounds, and it did not matter really at all. Kobe, 25 points on 27 shots. How many of those came in the second half? Of his 27 shots, 15 came in the second half. 13 points, while Shaq still 7 of 8 in that half. Yeah. That's exactly what the game plan is. We're going to let Shaq get what he wants, and we're going to make sure we fucking take care of everybody else that we can, because we don't really have an answer for that. Yeah. Like, Ben Wallace is almost a foot shorter than Shaq.
Yeah.
He's at least half a foot shorter than Shaq. And there's not really a whole lot.
Yeah. That, like, it definitely should have been the Shaq show, I think, for this finals, which it kind of is for a couple games, but it's not enough to, like, not what it normally would have been in the NBA finals. You could tell, like, the resistance.
100%. This is the only game they win here in game 2, and it's an overtime victory, which you probably could pick up from that it's not a good sign when you're going to overtime and you're scratching and clawing to get to overtime.
Yeah.
Against this Pistons team. Like, another thing they're doing is being efficient from the 3-point line. 6 of 12, good for this era.
Yeah. How many threes did the Lakers take?
6 of 12, and Lakers are 6 of 17. So it's the same amount of shots made, a little bit less efficient.
Yeah.
But they were trailing most of this game, so it makes sense that they were going to shoot more 3 balls. But Shaq and Kobe just do all the heavy lifting, and nobody else really can get any. Where did Karl Malone go? 9 points, 9 rebounds.
90% of their team's points, pretty much. Like, that's they have to do that. Like,
or they're fucked.
Yeah. Not 33. Sorry, 66% of their.
Yeah. 33 each.
Yeah.
Rip Hamilton, 26 points on 25 shots. Mr. Big Shot, Bob Billups, 27 points, 13 of 14 from the line.
No, it's rigged.
That's rigged? Is that what you said?
Oh, I said, no, it's Ray.
Oh, it's Ray. Yeah, my fault. Ray Billups. My bad. Sorry. Now the Pistons are just to hold this Laker team.
This is them at home. Or
to hold this Laker team to 68 points, and they are in the Palace.
They are in the Palace, yeah.
But to hold this Laker team to 68 points is a credit to them.
And they, like,
this is incredible.
I'm sure this was just like I'm like, what if the NBA just rigged this? Like, let's think about this right now. And I'm not trying to discredit them, right? But going into that game 1, the Lakers were such the highest betting odds, like had the highest betting odds, especially on that game. They hadn't lost in the Staples Center yet. In that, like, for that playoffs.
Right.
Like, it's just expected for them to win.
That's true. And I'm not trying to say the league is rigged, but I am trying to say that we've seen that before in game 1s of series.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Many times. But New York Times after game 3, as the Lakers roamed around the Palace appearing old and confused, the Pistons finished alley-oops, scurried for offensive rebounds, and exhibited a swagger worthy of Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant, parentheses, in better times. Of course, the Lakers are not overmatched, but perhaps one of the greatest upsets in National Basketball Association history is in the works.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Kobe and Shaq scored only 25 points combined. And Detroit held Los Angeles below 70 points for the first time in 560 Laker playoff games over 49 years. Overall, it was the third lowest finals total ever in the shot clock era. I think number one is that Bulls Jazz finals in '98. There's one game where the Bulls hold the Jazz to like an embarrassing amount of points.
Yeah.
I think that's number one. But 68 points is astounding from a team with 4 Hall of Famers on.
Yeah. That is insane.
Shaq's talking about going to the free throw line only one time. He went 0 of 2, because of course he did.
Yeah.
He said, that's the first time in about 10 years that I only went to the line once. I thought I was getting bumped, but maybe not. I'll be looking forward to getting to the line a lot the next game. O'Neal, who had a dominant couple of minutes late in the first half, said he was bothered that his teammates failed to get him the ball more often. Story of my life, said O'Neal. What a fucking little bitch. I hate Shaq so much and his stupid shit about getting the ball. Because when he goes on NBA on TNT now, and people say that sort of thing, they're like, you gotta make your plays for yourself. Go out there, get rebounds, get the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're sitting here bitching about the same shit.
Exactly.
So crazy. And just laying down the groundwork for the inevitable explosion of this team in the offseason.
Well, I think they knew it from like the end of game 5, to be honest.
Facts.
They were just like, oh, peace. This is the last time I'm seeing you, brother. Hopefully you got, your family's good. You treat them well. Get the fuck out of my face. Never talk to you again.
The strategy, once again, in full effect. Shaq, 36 points, 20 rebounds, right? Kobe takes 11 of his 25 shots in the second half. And what do they do? 3 of 16 from the 3-point line for the Lakers, 2 of 13 for the Pistons. It's just like, how are they getting these points? Lots of free throws.
Yeah,
is the answer, which is ironic.
Yeah.
Super ironic.
Pete Wallace had a 26-piece. Look at that.
Yeah, he did. 26 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
Chauncey wins Finals MVP in this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Has he had 20 again?
Basically.
I feel like that deserves it for them, because like that's literally at least like 25% of the team's points. For a guy that's not the actual superstar.
So, Shaq's the first player to record a 30-20 playoff game against Detroit since Bob Pettit in 1963, the very first NBA MVP. Bob Pettit. That long ago. I'm very upset, said O'Neal, who made 16 of 21 shots. We know we can play with this team. We haven't played well yet. We haven't even showed up yet. I've been with these guys a long time, and they're not just going to lay down. So we want to come out for Game 5 and give it all we got. Trying so hard to have a better attitude than the guy who got swept 7 fucking years in a row.
Yeah.
But the mentality stays the same.
Yeah. But, I mean...
And it's a gentleman's sweep.
If he would have probably, started that a little earlier in the series, maybe you would have got a better outcome, but it might be a little too late going down 3-1. But
I just don't know how much more Shaq can do by himself in this series.
Yeah.
Like, the guy, his averages in this series are going to match up to most of his finals victories.
Yeah.
So let's go to that real quick before we get into Game 5. Yeah, Shaq, they are down 27-11. Not even a steal or a block a game. Shooting 63%. That's really good.
Yeah.
But I think the Shaq of 2000 and 2001 gets this done.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I don't think this Kobe argues with that Shaq as much, though. Or, like, has a problem letting that Shaq get it done.
Well, especially that 0-1 Kobe, because we know that 0-1 Kobe was a very willing passer.
No, I'm talking about
that's what made that team so fire.
I think if this same Kobe had 2000 Shaq, they wouldn't have an issue. I really think people misunderstand Kobe's, like, I don't think it's just him wanting to be the guy. I think it's also like not getting it all from getting it all out of Shaq, like throughout the whole entire season, which that 2000 Shaq does.
Yeah, 2000. But even 2001, like Shaq was playing his way into shape, like being lazy, that sort of shit. But they turned it around come playoff time. Like there was a lot of drama in that season, but they definitely turned it around come playoff time. But yeah, Game 5, Pistons are going to shock the Lakers, beat them by 13, and really it wasn't super close at all. Lakers tried to make a little flurry in the fourth quarter, but they were basically beaten down most of the game.
Yeah. So the Pistons pull away in the third quarter,
right?
They pull, and then pretty much now you got the Lakers trailing for the whole fourth.
Shaq said they just flat out beat us in everything. So it defeated. Just reminds me of the guy who got swept a million times, like 100%. And so now we are going to head towards, well, now that we kind of know, this will be my last question before we.
And I got to answer, but you don't be answering none of my questions. I ain't answering.
Fuck. I've been better at answering your questions. Fuck out of here.
No.
But hold on. So looking at this Laker thing, right? Because we're about to leave the city of Los Angeles in this offseason. Shit's gonna go down. Shaq's not gonna get paid, and we're gonna talk about it on the next episode. But kind of putting a bow on this Lakers thing that we've just spent the last 2 months, it feels like, covering.
Yeah. You gonna ask if it's a success or failure?
I don't even know if I want to ask if it's a success, but what's something you had a opinion on in the beginning that you feel differently about now? What's your biggest takeaway from what we've done here?
Like,
that I think it's maybe swept under the rug or not talked about enough, or because I got one, but I want to hear yours first.
Like I think in this for this specific season or the entire
put a bow on it. Yeah, the whole shebang bang. The whole shebang bang. The last 7 years in a Laker uniform.
I guess my biggest thing is like, because I always thought, like, I feel like they really could have fixed this. Like this season, if they would have actually like talked it out, and like I think they could have made that. They could have actually done like the graceful way of letting Shaq go, like Kareem. If they would have actually, I think this season is like where everything just goes way too crazy. Like, because even last season, I don't think it was that like where you just felt like they were gonna get all dismantled and destroyed. Like I felt like this season was just too much, and I think it's because Kobe took things so personal. With the
Kobe had his own things this season. Kobe's like in the roster, out of the roster this season.
No, yeah, but I think team, once the beginning of the season started, where he didn't feel like he had the support of Shaq, I think that's what automatically just like it was the beginning of the end, and they knew it.
So, Shaq to that point, Shaq goes to a team dinner. And Kobe's there, and all the guys from the roster are there. And in walks Jerry Buss, and Jerry Buss doesn't say not one word to Shaq after this series, and goes and sits with Kobe and his family.
That summer, we were playing in Hawaii, and I think I was trying to get some new money.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And I had a nice little game in Hawaii, and I ran by the great Jerry Buss, and I was like, pay me. So I kind of knew he was upset at that. So after the game in the finals, we lost. We had that team dinner. And he came in, and he sat by you and your lovely wife, Vanessa. He didn't say nothing to me. I said to myself, uh-oh.
Writing's on the wall.
I said to myself, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So 2 days later, me and little Sharif and Mimi, we on the counter, Mulholland State, eating frosted flakes. And I hear Mitch Kopchak say, we will be taking inquiries on Shaq. I just dropped the ball still like, what? So I jumped in the car and I came down here to see Mitch. The cops was already waiting for him. Can't come in here, Shaq.
He had the cops waiting for you, huh?
Yeah, because he knew. Because I was coming out here to choke his ass. I was going to choke the air out of Mitch Kopchak.
And Shaq goes, well, Fucking, I guess my days here are fucking numbered.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the snowball effect for Shaq realizing, oh, I'm not going to finish my career as a Laker. But I'm going to say this. The reason why Shaq is, one of our first 5 legacy breakdowns that we've done, like real serious legacy breakdowns, is because he's very high on your favorite player list and my favorite player list. That's just a fact. We both love this man. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think he's the most entertaining basketball player that has come across. But I will say that the biggest takeaway that I've come from this experience is that guy, if I can think of one word, it is petulance. He is the most, for a guy who could come out and literally shit on every night. He could shit on the competition whenever he wanted. He ravaged his body and didn't treat his body well. Yeah. He picked on anybody that ridiculed him, right? He tried to be a bully. He tried to belittle a guy in Kobe Bryant who was literally making Shaq's career, like to a major extent. He's not self-aware at any stretch of the imagination in this part of time. And the phrase little bitch just keeps coming into my head. Like, I agree with you. They could have made this work. They could have fixed it. They could have gone to a few more NBA finals even if they continued to build around Kobe and a Shaq who could have maybe taken a little less money, but that was never going to happen because he's a petulant baby who believes he's still the best player in the world, despite not playing a full season in how many years now?
Like at least 2 or 3 seasons.
Like, let's see. 79 games, 74 games. I'll count that. Anything under 70, he's just playing hurt.
Yep.
And that's basically what we got the last 3 seasons. So the audacity for him to say, oh yeah, I deserve $150 million contract over the next 3 years is incredible. And it's wrong. And he's going to have to go somewhere where they really need him to make that work. And he will find that destination in an old friendly state in Miami. That's what we're going to get into next episode.
Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.